Welcome back to the GorillaBiker. So today on Apes Engines we have GrumpyBikeWizard joining us. So thanks for joining us. Me, GrumpyBikeWizard. I don't have a split personality yet, probably. And for those of you who haven't, yeah, just getting there, keeping it together in my brain. But for those of you who don't know GrumpyBikeWizard, I believe, were you the first legitimate motovlogger in Ireland? I think you were.
I don't know what grants legitimacy. There were a couple of lads who did stuff before me. We can talk about that. But there was certainly one or two lads putting up videos with some regularity before me. But there wasn't a motovlogging thing that I'm aware of. I think no two of them had ever spoken to each other.
Right. Okay. Well, tell you what, we're going to give you that mantle for now, so until someone else claims it,
if you like. The Godfather, as Lukey says.
Yeah. The Godfather of Motovlogging in Ireland. There you go. It's yours now. That's your title. So, do you want to give a quick intro about your channel and tell us what it's about?
So yeah, the channel, I've been doing YouTube videos it's about 5 years now, I think. And I kind of, there's no rhyme or reason to the channel, such as it is. I've been riding motorbikes since 2014. I've been legitimately riding motorbikes since 2014. And as I got into bikes, and so folks who have been around that long will know that the laws all changed in 2013. So we moved from an old system of like, you have to ride a little pootly 250cc for 2 years, no matter what age you are, fuck you, right? And it was, it had just changed, and I went on boards and I went on everywhere, and I sort of said, like, what do I need to do? Listen, I'm a fat beard in his 30s. Tell me what I need to do. Like, there was all like 16-year-olds trying to get up on R1s, and it's like, how do I do it? But I found all sorts of mad shit. So what I said was, I'd been, when I was getting into bikes, and when I get into things, I get very into things. And I was watching everything, and there was a big UK scene of motovlogging. There was all the big names you could think of were around back then. And I wanted to do some videos just to get lads into bikes. You know, just to sort of be like, here's what you actually need to do that isn't reading 50 websites and listening to dopes on forums and all that sort of stuff. So you'll probably see the first couple of videos were like how to get started, because like I consider myself not a stupid person and I was struggling with it. So it was, so it really was. And so as I got into it, I started doing like, gear reviews. It was the, sort of stuff you are now doing a much better job at.
I don't know about that.
Which is like, if I got a new fucking pair of gloves, I'd put up a video on it. Like if I hung a random thing I bought onto the bike, I would put up a video about it, and I do spins and ride outs and all that sort of stuff. And it was good crack. But so I've one of the first, I would say, people in Ireland doing the motovlogging thing, and I've just kind of done my own thing ever since. There's some people who put in more effort than I do, certainly. But no, I've been enjoying doing it for the last couple of years.
Well, it's actually, I'll tell you exactly how long you've been doing it now, because I'm a creep. I even warned you I was creeping, but no, 100%. I think, and I've said it before, the enjoyment thing is, like, if I didn't enjoy it anymore, I'd just stop. Do you know what I mean? That's the beauty of it. But to run through your channel really quick, you have 186 videos uploaded to YouTube, 420,000 views, which is it's pretty damn good.
Did you know that like 65,000 of those are one video?
Really? I didn't actually spot that. I was scrolling through trying to spot it. But.
No, my walk around of the R6 is like 60-something odd thousand views. And anyway, we'll get on to that. But like any product you'd mention, and suddenly the views go.
Yeah. So. That's true. It's the same, sure. With the
anyway, more stats. Tell me how fantastic I am in numbers, in number form.
1.5 thousand subscribers. Fair play.
On the button, actually.
On the button. Well, that's what Social Blade told me anyway. And then you were saying you're nearly coming up in 5 years, so I think this will be out before your 5-year anniversary. But everyone wish GrumpyBikeWizard happy 5-year anniversary on YouTube, as it's coming up on the 20th of July. Your first video was up on the 20th of July 2015, which is
2015. Yeah, some year. And that was actually roughly a year after I did my IBT and did the thing.
It was actually, it's what I wanted to just mention quickly. It was a really good video. Like I was watching it the other night, and I mean, your audio was really good. It was full of good advice. Like I was like, I actually went and looked. I was like, surely he had something up before this, because, like, I don't know, did you ever see my first video? It's shite. It's like the audio is terrible.
It all kind of went downhill from there, and there was a period of about a year, I think, where my audio was just woefully bad, where I just stopped making an effort for a while. Like, so my audio on the first video was pretty good because I was putting a lot of thought into it. I was sort of saying, because I'd been watching motovloggers like the likes of Phil 480 and the Mist and Flyer and Baron von Grumble before. This is pre 44 Teeth Baron von Grumble. What was it? Roadcraft Nottingham was a good lad for putting up videos about you know, how to ride a bike, essentially, because nobody was telling me. And I mean, you emulate what looks good, right? And I really was. My first, I want to say 10, 20 videos were very much like, let me tell you stuff. Like, I'm trying to get information across. Whereas, you know, it sort of segued into look at ducks, you know, after a while. But no, I was very much making an effort back then, and I had gotten my audio just right, and I'd done a load of testing and everything like that. And I'm a hooer for getting something right and then just letting it rot. And so, you know, it went up and down over the years, but sure, we'll see.
I think with the audio though, audio is so hard to keep right. Like, even since it is, like, even since I started, I'm actually still using the same mic, and it's funny because every update of, you know, Premiere Pro that I use, it changes how it treats the audio. So every time you have to go back and have to, you know, do one thing a little bit different, different. That's why it's constant. My audio is always changing.
Do you use a separate audio device, or do you go direct into your camera, or what do you do?
A separate, just for waterproofing.
Pain in the arse.
It is a pain in the arse. Yeah.
I've used a drift camera with an old €10 lav mic for a long time, and it's, you know, I mean, it works when the mic is embedded exactly correctly into the lining of your helmet, such that the roars that you say go into it to the exactly correct level. And especially when you're trying to pick up what's coming in over my headset from Graham or from somebody else, where I'm out with somebody else, it's just trial and error, and usually error.
100%.
I did try the separate separate audio source thing, and I just can't be arsed. I just cannot be arsed taking another thing out with me, like a little Zoom thing, and sticking it in. And
it's a pain in the arse. But like, the thing is, I kind of brought it on myself because I always wanted to keep it waterproof, and I didn't. I didn't go for the drift. I picked a GoPro because I didn't look into it. I was like, GoPro.
There's a million accessories, and even if you buy spurious ones, I have a few GoPros, and you can buy any mount you like for a GoPro. Like, you can make stuff, you can do whatever you like.
Everything's there.
The one thing with audio I'm planning on doing, next time I get a new lid, the thing Graham has, this is on two wheels of Rainbow, he has the Sena 10C Pro. Which is actually class. It's the built-in mic, like for your headset, except it's also a camera, and it records, and it actually records via direct line what comes in over your comms, over your Bluetooth comms.
Oh, right, okay.
And so if you look at any of his audio, he doesn't post very many videos, but like, if you look at any of his, it's actually perfect. And so I have the Shoei Neotech 2 at the moment, and it has the SRL, like the big fancy built-in Sena comms. And I'm not due another helmet for a couple of years. So when I do, that'll be the plan, is that I'll get not a built-in and get the 10C Pro, because that seems to be the king right now, as far as getting your audio perfect and not relying on it being embedded somewhere.
But that's it. Even if you were to do that, from the perspective of, like, for instance, for me, like, you know, I use multiple different cameras, so I've already created, you know, a hard life for myself matching them up. Because I actually hate myself. But with that, like, even if you had the 10C Pro and it got all the audio coming in, everything else, like, that'd be brilliant, even if I just use it for the audio.
Even if you just did, yeah, exactly. I gave up on the multiple camera thing. I've tried it once or twice, and I'll tell you why I did, is because I was so disgusted. I bought a GoPro Session. I bought it secondhand, so I didn't pay mad money for it. You know that little cube thing that a lot of lads have on their handlebars? And I lost it. I didn't even get to use it. Like, I don't know whether it was robbed or whether I just put it down somewhere random or something. You know the way that just happens, and you're like, I'm going fucking senile. Like, and I was like, do you know what? It'll turn up.
And
you
you never
know,
did.
out in the shed or in a random box of stuff, and I'm still holding out hope. It's like 3 years later, I'm still holding out hope that the thing will show up. But I was absolutely disgusted, and I sort of went, "Will I ever buy another?" I mean, I have other cameras, but will I buy another camera for another session for doing that? Like, no, I'm too disgusted. I'm not going to do it. So I haven't bothered. I haven't bothered getting a second camera.
I'd be pretty pissed off too.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, that's bad. That's actually quick, funny story, and then I do have a question to ask you finally.
Yeah.
I came along to the Phaser one day, right? And I showed Lucky Luke this, and someone had obviously decided they needed some bolts from a Phaser. Because I could have put it down to like, oh, they might have rattled themselves loose, but someone had taken off literally the whole way down. They took a fairing bolt, then they took one of the rad side plate bolts. They just took that one, and then they took one of the bolts from the front fender. I came up and I was like, "There's no way all three fell out before I noticed it," because I'd noticed that sort of stuff. I'm a bit anal about it, and I was like,
it has to have been.
Rats.
There's a lot of phasers out there, and so yeah, it has to have been somebody doing. Unless it was just some lad doing it out of sheer badness, but it seems like pretty targeted sheer badness.
Yeah. It's like I need that bolt, that bolt, that bolt.
Yeah, I'm just going to take these 3 random bolts out. Yeah.
So right to move on real quick. Your first video, you were on first you were on the GZ250, which was your dad's, and then you jumped back onto the Diversion. And I want to ask you a bit about your bike history, but first, obviously, the Diversion, it has a place in my heart a little bit because it's related to my Phaser.
Yeah.
So do you miss it?
Let me think for a minute before I go out on a limb and say I miss all my bikes. I don't miss the Deauville, but aside from that, I actually kind of don't miss the ER6 either.
They're a very narrow bike.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get on to that. I'll go through the history. I do miss the Diversion. I think it's a good, solid class bike. Like, you know, and I did the walk around, and I sold a Diversion. I sold a Diversion for the ER6. I traded that in against the ER6, and I shouldn't have. But anyway, I'll do the history. Stop me or try to stop me if I go off on a tangent.
Have at it.
So biking history. So my dad was a biker when he was younger. He had a bike. He didn't have a bike for a long time while I was a kid, and then he got one then in 2010, just on a mad fucking whiz. That was the GZ250.
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to ride a big old scooter. If you know what a Heinkel Tourist is, maybe you can flash up a picture of a Heinkel Tourist.
I'll throw it up. Yeah.
It's basically it looks like a Dalek in bike form. You see them the odd time. There's lads go around. There's clubs for Heinkel tourists, and they go around. And I see one in North Dublin, and I saw them up in Kilmac, a big load of them one time. But he had one of those. My uncles always had bikes, but we weren't really a biking family. My older brother had a bike. He had a Honda Super 4 that I basically rode up and down the road a couple of times. But it wasn't like I need to get one of these someday.
Yeah.
It was always just like, yeah, bike. That's pretty cool. It's like if somebody got, you know, a quad bike or something, or a drone or something cool. You have it going and you'd be like, cool. You're not like, it's now my life's mission to get one of those.
Yeah.
And so I actually was where I was living at for a good long while. I had no garage. I didn't even have side access to the house, and so it didn't even enter my head. And I always had in the back of my mind, if I had a garage, I might give that a go, see what the story was, maybe get a scooter or maybe do this sort of thing. And it was 2014. I moved. I got a new house, which was out near Mondello. And actually, one of the videos, if you're eagle-eyed, shows me leaving that house. After I move out of it, I basically say, well, it doesn't matter if people knew where I lived now.
Lived.
Lived, yeah. It's literally around the corner from Mondello I used to live. And it had a big old garage out the back, the Grumpy Shed Mark 1. And I actually took some time off work to get properly settled, and there was some renovations to be done, and there was all sorts of stuff. I took 2 months off work, and work were good enough to let me do that.
Nice.
And I did up a list. I said, what am I going to do? Because, like, obviously hassling plumbers is only going to take up some of my time. And I don't know if my brother said it to me. He sort of said, do you ever think about getting a bike? And I was just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. that's something I always mouthed off to myself about
Yeah,
doing if I
yeah.
got the chance. And at that point, I started doing the research and the IBT and all this sort of shit. And the laws had literally just changed. There was still lads going around on forums saying like, "Oh yeah, get a 250cc, and after your 2 years on that, do it different." And I was like, "No, that's actually wrong now." And so
Yeah, it's old.
we rationalized with EU rules, I think, with the A and A1, A2, and all that shit.
Yeah.
So I did the research. My dad's bike at that point was sitting in a shed over in his house. He lived not too far from me, and I said, you know what, I'll book the IBT. There was a place out near me in Maynooth, Leinster Driving Campus. They don't do it anymore, but they used to do a motorbike taster lesson, which is not anything I've seen anybody doing since then, which is essentially they do like module 3 of the IBT pretty much.
Yeah.
As in the after lunch part, as in they have an off-road course
Around the yard kind of job.
They take out in the yard, and they actually have a little course where there's like a traffic light and a junction and a whole job in a field somewhere, and you ride around a 125 or a 250 for a couple of hours just to see if it's for you.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's class. I think
it's a brilliant idea.
People do. I think it was 80 quid or something. Like, so it was, not breaking the bank. You get a go of a bike. You see if you hate bikes.
And like, in fairness, some people just aren't able for them as well.
That's it. And people get up or like you want to know how powerful a 250cc bike is. Like, I'd been up on the Super 4 before, which isn't a mad powerful bike, but it was powerful enough. Like,
yeah, that's enough in it. Yeah.
They've 125 and a 250, and they just say, which one do you want to try? And I think they have a 400 there as well. And there's the what you call it? So yeah, they had to try out a bike for a couple of hours, and an instructor goes around with you and basically gets you to do a figure 8 and gets to go around the thing, and you see if bikes are for you, and they'll give you a big smelly helmet, so to speak, and the gear, and like that was actually class. That really solidified, like, yeah, I'm going for this. I'm doing the thing. So I booked my IBT, and I did the IBT on. I think I did my IBT on the GZ250, which. Oh no, I didn't actually. I did my IBT on the school bike, which was a SV650.
Great bike.
And yeah, great bike for learning on, like, just real nice and kind of forgiving.
Yeah.
And great big crash bungs on it for when people drop it every day. So I did the IBT, and I just started going around on the GZ250. That was good for like a couple of weeks. And then I went into. I said I wanted a Deauville, and to this day I can't remember why I said I wanted a Deauville.
Panniers?
Yeah, I think it was that it's like
the only reason.
when I first bought a car, I said, like, what's the most reliable car that's not going to fuck you about, and it's going to be decent, and it's not going to break? And I looked at what taxi drivers were driving, and it was Skoda Octavia, and I bought a Skoda Octavia, and I never bought a Skoda Octavia again. But anyway, but this was like, I saw a lot of couriers going around on them, and they seemed to be like, they had the storage, and I'm a worrier about having storage and knowing where to park and having all the bits and bobs, and so I said, fuck it, I'll get a Deauville. And so I ended up getting one, and that did not last long.
I'm not surprised.
To give you an idea of how little I knew at that point, so I was doing a few bits to the Deauville, and I was making modifications, and I modified basically all the bikes, because I just have no fear of that sort of shit. Like, just get all the stuff hung off it. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So I put a new screen on, and I did a few bits, and I messed around with some aspects of it. And to show you how little I knew at that point, I was riding year round, and we can talk about riding year round. I was going out in fucking snow and slush and fucking all sorts. Like, I remember going out one time, there was 2 inches of slush on the ground on the road, and I was just like, oh yeah, if I just go on the car tracks, it'd be grand. Pissed along in the car tracks, and like, I wouldn't do that today. I'd be fucking
not a hope.
No, not a hope. And just, I didn't know any different. I was just fucking bringing it out, and like, I think it cost me like $2,000, right?
Yeah.
Of a bike. So I was kind of like, I'd be really fucking annoyed if I dropped this thing and completely wrote it off, but I wouldn't be homeless. Like,
it wouldn't be the end of the world. Like,
it wouldn't be the end of the world. So that was a decent experience, and then I fell victim to not knowing enough as well, and I discovered you can't actually do your test on a Deauville. Not an A bike. it's not powerful enough, or the engine's big enough, but it's too heavy. So the power to weight, so I said, fuck it, and I brought it back into where I got it, JP, and on Pier Street there, and I bought the diversion off him as well. So I traded that for the diversion.
Lovely
and the version lasted a lot longer. Like I did a load of stuff to that. That was a class bike. I really do. Like it's the only inline four. Is it the only non-twin I've ever owned? Like the
I think it might be from my quick list.
is that like the Villa's V twin, and then of course the GS and the RS and
the DS and the SRS
zero cylinders.
No zero. Yeah,
that was the only inline four, and like I've ridden inline fours before. I rode Graham's S1000R, and I rode the S1000R one time as well, and so it's nice, but it's like I love twins. Twins are class.
To be honest, I've said it loads of times. The next bike I buy that's like a daily bike will very likely be a twin. They're just nicer to ride in daily. Yeah,
big fucking twins.
Yeah, well, like your inline fours, they're fine. I mean, look, the Phaser is a great bike. It's very very everythingy, but it's also like all of the fun stuff is very fast.
Yeah, as well. I think I'm just a very polite person, so I don't like revving a bike up too much.
That's fair. Yeah,
and so like it's why I ended up moving on from the. Well, actually, I didn't trade in the diversion. What I did then was, and if you're watching videos, I was going to change the diversion for. I had my eye on an F800 GT, a new one. I wanted a new bike because at that point I'd been up on bikes a year or two. And I knew what the story was, or I thought I knew what the story was.
Yeah.
And I said, I want a new bike. I think this is class. I'm going to do this, right? I was back at work at that point, and I was commuting, and I was getting the use out of it, and that's just my own sort of thing. And I test rode the F100 GT, and I was like, this is basically like in terms of the amount of welly, this is not even as good as the version.
Yeah,
right? Like it's nice that it's new, and it's nice that it's a nice bike, but and I went back and I can't remember the chap's name. He's a well-known sort of salesperson. He's worked for KTM, and then he worked for BMW, and I think he still works for BMW. And I went back in, and he says, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah." And turns around, he says, "Sure, take a GS out."
Yeah.
Right. And of course, that's how they fucking get you. Like BMW have fucking 4 GSs lined up ready for you to take them out.
Go.
And I honestly, if people who know the old location of Joe Duffy, it's in a sort of a businessy park, and you go out and there's a roundabout and a McDonald's, and you go out. By the time I passed that McDonald's, I was like, let's make this fucking happen, lads. Just the sheer, it was actually just because of how test rides are. It was the first big bike that I'd ridden, like big bike. And I was up, and the riding position was fantastic.
Yeah.
And just the sheer amount of torque out of it was unbelievable. And it was like, it was part of a sort of start of a multi-year love of the Boxer engine. Like just the amount of, have you ridden a Boxer?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Just the sheer low end torque where you're just kind of going, yeah, I'm sort of hanging, idling at second or third. And then I just pull the throttle, and it just goes, and just pulls you out of it. Like
it's a lovely engine. It is a lovely
engine.
And
it was one of the first liquid cooled ones. It was a 2014 one, and so there was a load of additional whiz bang on it, which meant I actually liked it a lot better than the previous. There was an 1150 Airhead that was there before that, and I liked that bike an awful lot better. And so I just fucking came back and said, let's make it happen, lad. So I actually bought it as well as the diversion. I didn't sell the diversion at that time. Because I don't think he wanted it.
Yeah.
Like he takes secondhand bikes, but I think he doesn't take fucking dirt as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, as far as he's he's wrong.
Wasn't a dirty bike, but so I ended up with it at that point. I ended up with like the big sort of adventure bike, big sort of GS, and I said, you know what, I might sell the version, but I do want a smaller sort of pissing around bike. The GS is big. Especially when you're still only on bikes a year or two. It's a big bike. Now, it's no bigger than lots of bikes. Like, it's actually no wider than any Boxster engine.
No, and they're not particularly heavy either. Like they're heavy. They're not massively heavy.
And they're not. They have the reputation as being very tall, and so you need to be a big fecker to get up on it. The F800 GS has a higher seat than the 1200 GS. I couldn't believe it. It's actually grand. Like, so I eventually traded the version for the ER6. And which I shouldn't have done. Like, I don't have regrets. Like, I didn't mind the ER6. I didn't like it. I was kind of, I went, just some of the bits are flimsy. If you watch the walk around video, some of it is just like, this is cheap. This is like not great.
Do you know, I've known a lot of people who've had the ER6s. Like at least 6 people I know have had one, and not one person ever was, in love with the bike. You'll always find some weirdo somewhere will love a DeVille, and some weirdo
ER6
somewhere
lover 2020.
Yeah, but
that's
like
his username. Yeah.
I've never heard of an ER6 lover.
As well. Yeah, and I don't know if you've ridden one or even heard one. Small twins. I know I'm referring to a 600 as a small or a 650 as a small. It sounds like a fucking lawnmower. I can't get away from it. Like, you start it up and it's like, and I'm like, oh Jesus, now I'm cutting hedges. It didn't do it for me. I did enjoy, like, I took it out for test ride and I did enjoy it, and I said, you know what, I'll give this a shot. There was basically no money to change, like, and so I gave that a shot, and I just didn't like it. I actually sold it after a year, and that was that.
You just like that. You like the big twin, just the volume, massive chunk of air moving. That's
honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, it's just and the low end torque. Like, I don't rev bikes up too far. I don't. People are sort of saying, "Oh yeah, the top end torque," and I'm like, I don't go above fucking 6,000. Like, and that's why the Boxster was class for me. Like, so
yeah, you don't need, because you don't need to.
Yeah, so I adjusted the GS then, and then I think I just changed the GS for the RS. And the RS is probably the bike I've stuck with for the longest time, because it's fucking class bike.
They are, yeah, they're class bike.
Yeah, they're just like not as big and tall as the GS. And then after the RS, which I had for a while, we did our first trip on that, and so it was grand for a trip, no hassle at all. I eventually changed it for the 1290 Super Adventure. That was 2018.
One of my dream bikes.
Is it? Yeah, it's rightly so. I'll give you a shot of it someday. It's class.
Sound.
But it's that was. I have a video explaining why, but basically BMW started fucking phoning it in. So I was thinking of either new RS or the S1000 XR, and the new RS was shite, like the 1250 RS, because all they basically did was put the new engine in, slap a fucking. If you can find a picture of the dash of a 1250 RS, the first generation 1250 RS. It's like they took the old bike and the old dash and just ripped the clocks off and just put that LCD screen on in the middle, and it's just lost in the middle. And I was just like, you just fucking phoned that in. Like, you didn't even design that. Like,
they have a habit of doing that sometimes, though.
Yeah, and they didn't refresh the XR. That was the thing. The XR had the old clocks. I think it only recently got the LCD screen.
It's only this year, only the 2020 model year. Yeah,
too late, lads. 2 years too late. Do your fucking technology refresh and be done with it. Like, don't make people wait 2 years. But anyway,
well, especially when you're BMW, like, it's fine for Honda. Like, it's funny actually. My 1987 Honda Magna has the same switchgear as is on my friend's 2008 Honda Hornet. That's not a problem with Honda.
That's no bother. Yeah.
But when you're BMW, come on,
No, I think they did. Like, the GS was the biggest selling bike for a long time. Like, just based off of long way around and based off of
all that stuff. Yeah,
them being good bikes.
They're good bike too. As well,
they're good bikes. Like, they're really class bikes. But they really did start phoning it in. Like, they just kind of went, we'll just put out a new technology iteration every 1 or 2 or 3 years, and people will just suck it up. And like, the amount of time I spent in that BMW dealer is that, like, you had lads going in there to just change their bike like that, like clockwork every year.
Yeah.
Just give me a new GS. And it's like, doesn't matter what it is, probably the exact same as bike I had last year. I just want the new GS. What color is it in? So that's it, and even the lad in the dealer was saying, the sales lad was saying to me, like, I don't get these lads with the color. Like, you just get the fucking panel sprayed for, like, there's a place down the road, I'll give you the number, like. So the KTM Yeah, it really was. And that was the first bike where I probably did the most research for buying that bike. We actually flew to Milan, myself and Graham. We went to the EICMA show
Oh,
in
nice. I'd love
Milan,
to go.
which is like Motorcycle Live except fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like about 6 times the size of Motorcycle Live, no exaggeration. Like it's an entire little city of just bikes. It's class. And I just sat up on every bike that I even vaguely thought of ever owning.
Yeah.
Sat up on it, saw the display, got a demo, saw the switch gear, see what the ergonomics. I can highly recommend it. If you're going to drop 20 grand on a bike,
Yeah,
like,
test it.
get your fucking Ryanair flight and spend 2 days at EICMA. Even Motorcycle Live will have all the big names. Like, because I was looking at that, the XR, the Triumph Explorer, and what else was on my list? A GSA, because I mean, standard, include the GSA and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
And the KTM just jumped out at me just because I love whiz bang, as I said in the response video to yourself. Like,
yeah,
I love like little Gucci features and shit.
Yeah.
Unashamed about that, and I'm just kind of like, yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I ended up getting that. And that was
they're just a phenomenal bike anyway, even looks wise. They just look
holy shit. And just the thinking, they're fast if you want them to be fast. They
very
tour
fast
all day fucking long. Yeah, it's very fast. Like, I don't ride bikes fast, but I can tell when I'm on a fast bike.
Yeah.
Where I was like, if I pulled this throttle, I'd be doing 170, 180.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
whatsoever.
easily.
Like,
in seconds.
Yeah. And so it's good to have a powerful bike even if you don't use it. Like, you don't have to use.
Always, it's better to have the power than be looking for it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, this is it. And you're not on the 250 trying to fucking put it down a hill at 80 kilometers an hour. But so that was the job, and I took that on the trip last year. It was last year. And that was just flawless, not a bother on it. Like, it's made for that. And one thing I did notice on the trip last year was I see a lot more KTMs. Like, we went in 2017 and we did Switzerland and Italy and places like that. GSs everywhere. We went down through Italy and back up through Croatia last year, and you see touring companies, so you see 20 bikes one after the other, and just seeing 20 super adventures one after the other coming past you, and you're like, those were GSs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Really,
well, I think that stands to how good KTM have gotten those bikes. Like, KTM overall reliability, they had their years where no one had touched them, but I think they're getting over that reputation now. Anyway,
they are. Their electronics still get a bad rap. Like, they're not as bad as fucking some of the Italian makes, but like,
oh, definitely not.
Their electronics are a bit finicky, and I ran into a couple of pitfalls there where, like, literally, like, I changed the horn on the bike and I went, oh Jesus, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So like, there's still a bit, you get that with Cambus, but like the KTM seem to be particularly bad for like I don't like a thing that just happened. I'm gonna flash things at you all day now. And that was flawless on the trip. And what happened then is I went back to 2 bikes. So what happened was, there's a mate of mine in work who he's a hardcore. He's ridden everywhere. He was ridden to Africa. He recently moved a couple of years ago back to Ireland from Poland, and he rode all his bikes. Over like 4 bikes, he just flew over and rode his bikes back one after the other, just mad bastard. Like, and so he was saying, oh yeah, no, electric bikes are a thing, and he pointed me on an article about electric bikes. I was reading, and was like, oh, Zero Motorcycles, all this sort of stuff. I wonder if they'll ever come here. And I just googled Zero Motorcycles Ireland, and there was a fucking press release.
Lo and behold, Franklin
saying Franklin Motorcycles are opening a Zero dealership next week. So I said, I'd heard, I don't know who was told me that Franklin were sound about test rides, because I know Bike World had
or not.
Well, no, Bike World had a Zero event. I think they were competing with Franklin for the contract.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
They had a big event where they had like the DSR Black Forest and a whole load of bikes, and they were letting people out and all that sort of stuff. So I missed that.
Right.
So I mean, I went up and had a all they had was the DS at the time. And I don't think it was even registered. And he just said, just take around the car park there. And I took around the car park.
He's a good lad for that.
He's a good lad for that. But like, I took around the car park, and it's on video. My initial reactions to that DS, I was like, this is fucking class. This is like just, you know, I love my whiz bang, my Gucci features and everything like that.
Yeah.
Just the entire concept of, just a bike that you know, is direct line to the engine, like, and everything is done over software, and it's like it's almost the opposite of the crotchety old biker stereotype, right, where they're sort of like, ABS, fuck that shit. I can brake better than ABS. I just go and it seems the sort of antithesis of that, like where you're sort of so I hummed and hawed over it. I really did, and I tried to get the best deal I could. But eventually, I was like, "Yeah, do you know what? It's fucking happening." You know.
Yeah.
And as I said in my last video, somebody once told me, like, I never heard a cool story about somebody who thought of doing something and then decided not to.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very true.
You don't tell that story to people. Oh, remember that time I almost,
you
know, went off and did this thing and then didn't. So that was the DS. I got the DS in July of last year. I didn't put a huge amount of miles on it for various and sundry reasons. I think because I was mostly on the KTM for all the tours and all that.
That's fair,
like,
though.
The where I'm at in North Dublin is that, like, if I'm going on a spin, I'm going to be going around the Wicklow Gap. Yeah. I'm going to be going up around Mullingar and RD and stuff like that, which is ropey range wise. It probably isn't if I think about it and measure it out. But if you're asking me, you're going for your fucking spin on the weekend and you're going to be out for the day, which bike are you bringing? I'm bringing a petrol bike. Like, I'm bringing, that's the thing, right? The charging network isn't ready yet.
It's not there yet.
It's not there yet.
Yeah.
It will be, right? And even compared to, and I'll get on to, as of recently, I changed the DS a month or two ago for the SRS.
Beautiful bike.
Which is, again, the SRF wasn't for me. I test rode the SRF and I was like, this is basically a super naked, right?
It's what it is. It's
not my kind of bike.
Sure, another, yeah.
And it's funny how fucking Zero gets me. They must be bugging my phone or something, because I was saying it to the ground, like, come here, if they come out with a city uppie or more city uppie bike with a fairing, that'll be the job. And a week later, fucking like a week later, they were like, "Guess what we're making? Yeah, guess what we're making, Grumpy Bike Wizard. Fuck
yeah. Give us your money.
Yeah. So that was like yeah. Do you know what? It wasn't crazy money to change. I mean, it was for what it is, but it's not. That's not what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that to me is. The only thing holding electric bikes back in Ireland is the charging network. Right?
We're the perfect country for it. I keep saying this to people. We're not a big country.
And it really depends on what you're doing, because, like, if I'm going around the Wicklow Gap, if there was a fast charger in Kilmac or in fucking one of those towns, there's one at Kilmac on the motorway, just as you go into Arklow and places like that. But if there was one up in Wicklow, up the Gap or something like that, sure, it'd be fucking, like, that'd be it then. Like, that'd be
sorted. Yeah,
it'd be sorted. Like, whereas, like, if I was going to Galway on it, I'd be grand, because all the services have fast chargers, and I could plug that bike in and it's ready to go again in a half an hour, an hour.
Yep.
You know, go inside and have a cup of coffee and faff around like I would anyway.
And they make more sense than car, because some of the cars take literal decades to charge, but the bikes don't.
Much bigger batteries, like, so
huge, phenomenally huge batteries. Yeah.
So that's the only thing holding them back. Technology wise, I think they're there, right? I've been riding the SRS around for the last month. It's only now I'm able to take it within the county. So I've gone out in it twice for bigger spins now the last couple of days. And it adjusts to your riding style to tell you what the range is. And I get just over 200 kilometers on a charge.
Pretty damn good.
Right. Which you could totally buy a sports bike that doesn't get you fucking 200 kilometers.
My Magna will do 180 at a push.
Yeah, well, there you are. Same range. Right.
Yep.
But the thing is, I still get the anxiety. Like, it's still, you know, I'm looking at it. Like, I was coming back from the spin there Monday night, and I was looking down and it said 45%. I was like, 45%, but I'm like, it's loads. Like, I could do that. I could do that spin almost again. Like, I was out for 2 or 3 hours on it, pissing around Skerries and North Dublin, and it was like, it's all in your head to an
Definitely.
extent, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's funny because from the type of bikes that I go after, even, I put it up on the YouTube community thing, the Honda Goldwing, and I'm still humming and hawing over whether I should go for that or not, because I think it'd be hilarious. Like, I like old bikes.
What's this? You were going to buy a Goldwing?
I'm considering a 1984 Honda Goldwing. And you see, the funny thing is, right, I've just kind of let everyone dig their own graves. Everyone's like, it's an old man bike. What are you thinking? That's disgusting. I was like, you don't know what I want to do to it. Yeah. I want to rip all that shit off and have a 6-cylinder bagger.
Yeah, because if you've seen a stripped down Goldwing, like, they're not a huge bike when you strip them down.
But those 1984s only weigh 300 kilos. That's not a heavy bike. Like,
it's pretty heavy.
It's heavy-ish.
It's pretty heavy.
That's
heavier. That's heavier than the KTM. KTM's only 240, 260.
Yeah, but that's modern frame.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah.
Do you know the Indian Roadmaster I rode?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big fella. That is the only bike I have ever rode that when I put my foot down, taking off and stopping, I was like, oh my God, this thing is
actually heavy. Have to hold this thing up, yeah.
Yeah. It's like you put your foot down until you settle. Like, as your weight is settling, it's like your hip is about to pop out and it has such a point. But it's like, Jesus Christ, this thing is a lot of weight.
Rare. It's rare you see that in a modern bike. But modern Goldwings, you can, like the X3 you can get, where it actually there's a automatic center stand. You come to a stop at the lights and it puts the little stand down and you just sit there. It's like a scooter.
Just literally chill out in it there. Yes.
Just chill out and just like, I hope that thing works.
The day it fails and you're like, oh, my 30 grand bike.
Done. That's it. Yeah, over. No, I don't judge. I'm not racist against bikes. It's because again, like, it's what you're gonna do with it and that's what you get out of it. Like, the thing with Goldwings as well is if you get a pain in your bollocks, you could trike it. And you can do whatever you like with that kind of a bike and that vintage of a bike as well. Like, there's nothing to it. There's nothing going wrong with it. Yeah. Modern Goldwing, I wouldn't touch the thing. Like,
too much electronics.
Too much going on. Like, we're even like, I'm going to strip off all the fairings, and then the bike turns around and says, "Where are my fairings? Where are my fairings? Give them back to me."
Like, it actually draws guns on you. Oh, it's just like, sorry.
No, sorry. I'm a big bike, I'm afraid.
Yeah. No, exactly that though. It'd make me nervous even because, like, I like doing my own stuff. I've nothing against modern bikes. I just can't afford them. But like, definitely the modern Goldwing is just like, it'd make me nervous even changing the levers on the thing because they're probably wired up.
That's one thing as well. As I've started to get on more. I've always been on kind of modern bikes. I've never been on a classic, but I always do stuff to the bikes. Like, I always change around stuff in them, and like, I change the screen in most of the bikes, and I put even in the KTM, I've done a bunch of like just random hangers on stuff, but I also done stuff with the electronics, changed the horn out, did the whole thing. Like, I've no nervousness there, but it's down to just how much hassle it is to do.
Yeah. You'd nearly want to get your computer for your code reader.
Yeah.
Just to have it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like how cars are, so it's just catching up.
But it's catching up as cars were, because like, you used to be able to fix your own car, now you just can't. Or it's not worth the hassle. And with Zero, I'm not touching that thing. That thing will turn you to fucking dust if you touch the wrong thing. Like, it's not good.
I think that's actually the beauty of Zero as well, is genuinely, like, and even the SRF, I loved the DS and I really liked the SRF, but same as you, the SRF was just like, I loved it. I really enjoyed riding it, but I wouldn't have bought that one. Would I buy the SRS? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't need to do anything with them.
Yeah.
They're really, really good bikes.
Well, I hear Franklin are selling a DS.
Yeah.
One careful owner.
Yeah, I've been told. It was actually funny, right? The day you were in collecting your SRS, right? And I'm not joking you. I shit you not, right? Keith, I was on the phone to him asking about parts, the clutch and all that. I got that through Franklin for the phaser. Thanks, Keith. But he was like, "Oh no, I have a fella here. He's just collecting his brand new SRS. So I better go. Is that all right? I'll ring you back later." I was like, "Yeah, no problem. Have at it." And then later that day,
it's
you were
like
I
I have to go now. My girlfriend is here.
And then when he put up when you put up the video then about the SRS, I was like, "No way, it was him. It was definitely him."
Yeah.
And then Keith messaged me like, "By the way, there's a DS there in for sale." I was like, "Fuck off."
No, I mean Keith's last act, he actually did me a proper solid on the trade on the DS. So I mean it's probably in his interest to do it. Like, he wants there to be a secondhand market for these things, right?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
And again, like, there's 5 years left on the batteries, and there's everything you need with it.
Well, I think he knows he has a sale through me eventually. Like, he knows I'm obsessed with the Indian Chieftain Dark Horse Elite. I love them. The FTR 1200. I've every time I go up there, I'm like, please, when you get in a demo, just keep it. I'll drive up the same day. Just let me test ride that thing.
It's rare.
Guys.
It's rare you get a dealer who's kind of like that, and it's kind of an Irish thing to an extent. I think is that, like, and so to be honest, I think a lot of it is because their margins are so low, right? And somebody trashing a test bike is the difference between them making money this month and not, right? But
absolutely,
I've Franklin and is probably the only positive dealer experience of it, like fully positive dealer experience I've had. BMW were actually grand. BMW are, in fairness, they did warranty repairs like it was going out of style. Like, I went into them and there was paint chipping off the engine case of the my RS one time, and I was like, I wasn't even the original owner of the bike. It was a 2015 bike, and I brought it into them in 2017. I think it said there's fucking paint chipping off. That was the story, lads. It was in anyway for something else. And your man says, I'll take a couple of photos. And he came back to me and he said, can you bring it in next week? And I'm like, for what? He says, going to change all the engine cases.
Jesus.
I was like, what? That's a fucking big job, man. And he's like, yeah, it's all under warranty. I don't give a shit. And
fair.
So that was good to an extent, but honestly, BMW, with the volume that they're doing, they're not paying attention to you. They're like,
yeah,
you go in and they're like, you're buying a GS, right? And I'm like, no, I want something else. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, now to work.
I actually want the K1600B, and they're like, no, fuck off, And
that's paperwork.
I don't know if BMW have ever done that, but I remember there was a mate of mine, a work mate of mine, and he bought a new I'll get the model number wrong. It was a Honda. But he went in to the Honda dealer. I think it was M50 Honda, but I don't want to hang them. But he went into a Honda dealer, and they wouldn't get it for him. He was just like, can I order that in? Can I put a deposit on it and order that in? And they were like, I don't think so.
Seriously?
Yeah, just it's a pain in the arse for us to get, so we don't want to. Like, and he eventually I had to get on to Honda themselves and say, come here. Do you know that your dealers in Ireland are shitters? Like,
Jesus.
But, honestly, they'll do nothing for you, some of these lads, right? But yeah, Keith over in Franklin's always been sound enough. Like, he's gone out of his way to.
Yeah, like from the first time I walked in the door there, he's just been bang on. So
yeah,
look, I have nothing bad to say about them. And honestly, when that's wishful thinking. If I ever sort out enough money to get an FTR or something like that, I'll be straight up to him. Like, I wouldn't give it to anyone else first. But yeah, like down here, Lee Honda down in Cork, they'd be the big-ish dealer down here, along with BMW. Like, I fully attempted to buy a bike off Lee Honda last year. I was going to trade in the Phaser, and like, the Phaser's in good condition, man. I'd really look after it.
Yeah.
And your man looked at the Phaser, like, yeah, that's good condition. We'll give you X amount for it. And I was happy with the amount. I was like, grand, yeah. I went in, looked at it, and the only thing I asked was, right, the bike was there. I wanted it. It was an MT-09, and I was like, look, I was like, happy to go with it, whatever else. And I was like, I'm not happy with the tires. Can you put new tires onto it for me and maybe do the chain as well? And he was like, nah.
Yeah, because he doesn't give a shit. He's like,
he was like, nah, someone else will buy it.
Yeah, someone else will buy it. That's the only thing. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong, honestly.
It was gone 2 weeks later.
Yeah, because he's like, listen, I could pay for a new set of tires and a chain and sprockets for this bike, or I could wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they've no inkling of like repeat business or repeat everything like that, you know. And like I've no problem saying it, but like I will never go back to M50 Honda. I wouldn't buy a packet of crisps off those lads. Like, it's just, I bought the KTM from them, and
So that says a lot.
just the amount of hassle, just the amount of nonsense out of them. Like, if they didn't have the KTM certified mechanic in there, I actually seriously consider bringing the bike up to McAllen's up north to get it serviced.
Yeah.
You know, and there's lots of lads do that, because it's not that they'd screw up the thing, but just a heartache.
You're not the first person that has told me about troubles with them. Like, by far not the first person.
Yeah. I mean, I got the full service. I got the 1 year service done on the KTM, and I was kind of saying, like, this is their last chance, right? You know, I'll get the full service done just so it's in the book as serviced, and I have the KTM, you know, service history. Yeah. And they came back out, and he says, yeah, that's all done now. And he says, oh yeah, any bother with it? And he's like, oh yeah, it didn't have back pads. And I was like, what do you mean didn't have back pads? He was like, I didn't have them in stock. So, I mean, if you'll have to bring it in again if you want the rear brake pads done. And I was like, is there much left on them? And he says, I'd say they're at about 10-15%. And I'm like, so you're putting a bike out where the back pads are basically
gone.
Shot. Like, this was after the tour, like, so there were bollocks. Like, they've been going up and down switchbacks for about 2 weeks. And I was like, and you expect me to bring the bike back in to get the fucking rear pads done?
Oh my God.
And he's just looking me in the face as if this is the most normal thing he could possibly do. Like, it's just like, there you are. Looking. Actually, it wasn't even the worst thing they did. Do you know, you'll love this. The number plate they put on the bike when I bought it, brand new, was wrong.
What?
Yep.
That's kind of serious.
I tax insured the bike. They sent me on the tax forms, etc. And I just kind of, you know, I registered it. Well, no, they registered it, and I did the road tax and got my insurance switched over. Came, picked up the bike, and drove it home. And I was looking at it in the garage, as you do afterwards, just looking at it and rubbing your knees,
new bike,
rubbing your torso and licking your lips when you get a new bike. Like, and I was like, something's not right. And I looked and I said, fuck. And I went in and I actually had to check on the motor tax receipt and on the paperwork. And I went down and I looked and I was like, the number plate is wrong. They just switched around 2 numbers on the number plate. And I was like, that's illegal as fuck, man. Like, that's like, just basically drove an unregistered bike home. Like,
yeah.
And the worst thing is I rang them and said, lads, you know, and your man was very apologetic on the phone, but he wasn't fucking there when I got there. You know, so I showed up and they sent the young lad out of the workshop to apologize to me and hand me the number plate. And I see, like, the young lad was terrified, like, you know, because your man was probably in the back in the things.
Go
out and apologize to that man for the fucking, you know, possible repercussions he faced. And he was coming out and he was very apologetic and very sorry. And I'm like, listen, man, I know he probably didn't do this.
Yeah.
You know, that's not your fault. Like, it's fucking, you know, it's just basic shit.
Yeah.
Basic shit, like, that you stand over like
but
that.
Just a question out of interest, did you keep the dodgy plate?
Listen, you can buy number plates. They're no hassle to get.
It's very easy, yeah. Not that I would.
No, I effectively been, but it was that was just, it's very indicative of, like, if they can't get that right, then you wonder how much attention they're paying in general
to everything else, the things that can actually, like, kill you.
Anyway, I'm not going to spend all day giving out about people who have wronged me. Unless this is what the podcast is about. Like,
whatever you want. Yeah. Grumpy Bike Wizard. Introducing Grumpy Bikewizard. Everyone.
I have a list. I've got more. Lots of people have wronged me in small ways.
It's actually funny because we're getting on to someone who they haven't wronged me, but I feel like they have. So we'll get on to them in a second because you've dealt with these boys. But just to finish off on the bike sections, right? Obviously, you have a fairly nailed on interest in the types of bikes you have other than the electric ones. But honestly, as I keep saying to people, I am, the least likely person who would have went and gotten, you know, looked at an electric bike and liked it. I love them. If you have any ill feelings towards electric bikes, just go try one. If you're in Ireland, get on to Franklin, you know, go in, buy a t-shirt, test ride the bike, you know, try it out because you won't regret it. But to finish the whole bikes thing for you, right, is there any type of bike that until the day you die, you have no interest in riding?
Honestly, no. Like honestly, no. I'm a dirty tramp. I'll ride anything. Like it's
Same.
in terms of just like in terms of like a bike I'll ride. Like I'll
Mm.
ride any bike. I don't give a shit. In terms of a bike I don't see myself buying.
Yes.
I'm
Okay, go on.
certainly past the sports bike thing. Like
Fair.
I've ridden a few what you'd call sports bikes. You know, I've ridden an S1000RR. And it's just, it's not that it doesn't do it for me. It's just like I'm never going to own one of these. Like I'm too big. It's too fast.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I'm fairly slow on the bike. Like I wouldn't consider myself fast. Like I can go fast if I need to, but it's not.
But you
It's
don't
not
go
my
out to do it.
default mode of
Yeah,
operation.
yeah.
So I'm not a fast bikes kind of guy. But like I'm probably never going to own a sports bike. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, well, like it's funny because the only one I ever had an interest, and well, that and the R1. I'm lying about that. I love R1s just for some reason. They got embedded in my mind. But that Gixxer 750 I have, I'm not kidding you, right? I've been looking at that in the shed. It's funny because I was only talking to my uncle at the weekend about it. I've been looking at that for it's actually about 14, 15 years. So 14, 15 years, and I looked at it and went, I want that bike. And it's hilarious because now that I have it, it's like that is never going anywhere. You know, if I spent that long looking at it, and I was like, I still like it. I still like it. You know, it's only going to get better when I can actually ride the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That'd be the only thing.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of people are like that now, and you can even see, actually speaking of Lee Honda, they have a load of sales on at the moment for obvious reasons. They're trying to shift stock, but they have they've had a Fireblade in there on a stand just inside the door for like as long as I can remember, because they go in there for no sconce because I'm a creep.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, if it was people I was looking at, I'd be in jail a long time ago.
You love looking at things, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. But the Fireblade has been sitting there, and now they've discounted it by something like $6,000, and it's a 2018 model. But like, it's a brand new bike. Do you know what I mean?
But it's depreciating. Like, I mean, if it's 2-year-old model, you're automatically there's lads that don't want it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like I want the very latest model. You know, even if the wheels fall off, I want it. Like, but no, it's one of those things where like I was over at EICMA, where literally you can walk around and look at any bike you like. There was lots of electric bikes there. There was lots of big old cruisers. There was lots of everything like that. And Graham was there with me, and he was looking at the RSV4. He ended up buying it, but he was there to he was there to look at the RSV4 factory in Toronto. And I just looked at them. I was like, no interest. Like, it just doesn't do it for me. The other way when you look at something that sets something off in your brain, and you're just you know, you're looking at it like that. You know, the one sort of fast bike that is sort of sets that off in my brain that I would consider to be kind of a sports bike, but not a super sports, would be the Super Duke GT.
Oh yeah.
Or I got to sit up on the Kawasaki H2 GT as well. Which is excellent. Or whatever it's called. Yeah, just the most ridiculous concept of a bike. It's like, you know, oh yeah, here's like the most powerful fucking bike we can possibly fucking do. Okay, what do you do next year? Well, we're going to do that, and we're going to stick some bags on the back of it, you know, and you can bring it off on your tour. You know,
like they spend so much money just redesigning the supercharger to that to give it more mid-range power. Like,
stick some bags on it.
I love how they're nutcases. I love it. I love Kawasaki just for that.
Yeah, I did like it. I sat out, but again with the Kawasaki, I sat up on it and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, they're not comfortable.
Not comfortable. And I sat up and I was like, the switch gear looked a bit naff, and I was just kind of like, you know what, whatever, you know. Yeah. It's like, and there's lots of bikes that you'd look at pictures and you'd look at videos and you'd sort of go, those look class, and then you sit up and you go, ugh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, completely. Or even sometimes just you see the front end of them, like the what is it, the H2? Do you know the naked version they brought out this year?
Yeah,
disgusting.
It's
wrong.
It's either for you or it's not for you. It's like when the XR came out originally, and people are looking at the XR and say, "What's that fucking lopsided nonsense?" Like,
yeah, I actually really like it.
And the beak and the whole thing, or even the older school S1000RR with the mismatched front headlights.
Yeah.
Right, where either you sort of look at it and you say, "Oh yeah, that's class," or you look at it and go, "What the fuck were they doing?" Like,
what were you thinking? Yeah,
what were they thinking? But yeah, no, sports bikes of any kind don't don't really set off those brain
those
endorphins for me.
tinglies. Yeah.
I just kind of overlook them and look at anything that's kind of unusual, and city uppy bikes for life.
Yeah, city uppy bikes are just more comfy. You see, I have a problem as well that my left hip and my left knee are gone. They're knackered.
Yeah.
And I just have to mind them. But there's a particular angle that if I sit down, my left hip actually just fully locks.
Oh,
so like
no.
some videos you see me standing up, it's because I've thrown my left leg back up onto the peg, and it's just like I'm actually in dire straits. So I just stand up and be like, and we're good. But
Well,
it was actually
you're made for the electric bike then. Like, I mean, you know, no gear shifts. Like,
I do love my old bikes though.
Practically selling itself.
I was always convinced that the ZZR 1400 would be perfect for me because they're huge. And it's whatever it is. It's that particular angle. It sets it off exactly. I could barely get off the thing.
I was trying to think of that thing, because that was always a bike I looked at and sort of went, oh yeah, just from looking pictures of it. The old school green one with the big grill on the side, and you're just sort of looking at that going, I'd fucking love one of them. I sat up on
1400.
I sat up on one in Milan and I was like, ugh.
They're not comfortable. They're like for a big bike, they're not comfortable.
Yeah. Similarly, it can be really small things, because I sat up on, it was actually in Dublin. I was in the Triumph dealer, the new Triumph 1200 XRX, I think it was. And I sat up on it, and I was like, okay, cool riding position. I put my feet up on the pegs, and my left heel hit off the center stand. The center stand is one of those big things with the lug coming off it that flips up. And I went off my left toe to my left heel, and the center stand was on my heel, and I was pushing it up and down. And I'm like, no.
That's it like, done.
Couldn't deal with that. Couldn't deal with it at all. Just
mad.
Tiny little things like that. So, yeah.
But that's a fair reason for that one, like, in fairness.
Yeah, well, it seems like a small thing. Like, you know, it's like, oh, well, my foot can touch. It's like, you know, nobody's allowed to touch my ears a little.
Yeah.
Bit. It's fucking, it's like my heel is touching the center stand. I can't be having with that.
Yeah, no, I'm done. But it's, I completely understand, because it's like me with the, I tried a Tiger 1050. When my uncle had one before he decided to cartwheel over the car on it.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, Dermot. It's the car's fault, entirely the car's fault. He's fine now. That he's the uncle with the XR, so he's.
Yeah, but more importantly, how's the bike?
Oh,
bollocks!
Didn't make it. I really like that 1050 as well. And it was funny because he was always planning on keeping that for a year or so. Yeah. And I bought the phaser off him, and I actually got the Gixxer off him as well. And the Tiger, I just rode it once, and he was like, tell you what, next year when I'm upgrading, we'll do a deal on that bike. I was like, perfect. Big bike, ideal. And then
it went over a car.
Or partially through.
And now he has an XR, and you're never buying that.
No. I wouldn't want it. They're too fast. I would lose my license.
I've actually never ridden one. I've plenty of opportunity to ride one, and I've never ridden one. I always sort of said
insane.
Yeah.
Like in the test ride video that I did on that XR, there's a portion that I do a brake test, right? Now I go from a blurred screen to my brake test to 100 kilometers an hour. I leave the rest up to you.
Yeah.
And
it's fast, yeah.
It's accidentally fast, because you just go, it's a quick shift as well, so you're like pop, and you're like, oh.
It's the one thing as well with big bikes, and the difference between big bikes and small bikes is that big bikes, they put a lot more effort into the brakes and making sure the brakes actually stop you. So if you look at even the difference in the same brand between a GS or an XR, which would have similar like Brembo dual pots front and back, and a sort of a smaller bike, even if it's of the same caliber, like not caliper. The smaller bike, they underspec the brakes. Yeah. There's a tendency to underspec the brakes, and like I don't understand it. Like, it's just because like the RS and the GS have had the best brakes on a bike I've ever had. Like, just fucking class brakes. You know, they just stop you. They don't lock up. They don't do anything. It's no hassle at all. Like, even better than the KTM, I'd even say. The back brake in the KTM can be a bit ropey, but like it's amazing. I don't know why. I guess it's just cost savings, but I don't know why smaller bikes don't have as good brakes.
It's purely cost. And it's funny because everyone not everyone. I've gotten asked quite a few times about like, oh, why are brakes always the first thing you do? And I'm like, the thing you don't realize is I'm basically riding two up all the time. I'm that heavy. I'm a big human.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like ignore brakes at your own peril. The first thing I do is go after the brakes.
Yeah.
So
and even the amount of momentum that's stopping, like if I'm stopping dead and I dive onto the forks and the forks dive back up again, like it's fucking wacky shack. It can get a bit ropey, like.
Oh yeah. When you have that much weight behind it, like it's a different ball game. And you know, people don't realize it. Those 60, 70, 80 kg lads, they just don't get it.
Does the XR have I think it's only the GS had the telelever forks, which I do miss from the GS. It's one of the things that I miss.
Oh, yeah, the XR is just standard upside down.
Yeah, telelever forks are class. It's just they just have a sort of a crisscross small set of pistons between the two forks. I don't know exactly how it works, but basically it means there's no dive. Like you can just grab a handful of brake and the bike just stops.
Keeps them level,
yeah, and it's just it's fantastic. But
I will say the XR has the electronically adjustable ones. So it actually has the hydraulic pump in under the seat,
right?
And honestly, it's the easiest bike I've ever ridden, and I rode it faster than any bike I've ever ridden on the same like the roads I know up at home. And I was just like, I was drifting through corners like I shouldn't have done that fast.
Yeah, the ESA and the on bikes, I think post 2016 they would have the corner and ABS, where basically you can be leaning over in a corner and grab a handful of brake and you'd be grand.
And you're fine. Yeah, it's insane.
And quick shifters. I'm a big fan of a quick shifter.
They just make it you feel like a god level racer when you bang to the gears.
Yeah, for real.
But we'll move on from bikes.
Okay.
You're well, not bikes really. We'll move on from talking about specific bikes.
Yeah.
I should phrase it.
But enough about me.
But you've done a bit of touring in Europe, and you've used a couple of different people. But I suppose what I'd like to go through is number one, your favorite route, and even out of that, your favorite spot of your favorite route.
Right.
And this is just data collection for me, but also I'm sure we can have a chat about it. And then, would you recommend being, in a much smaller group, like 1 or 2, 3 people, or as part of a bigger group? What's more crack?
Okay. So favorite places. I want to tell you, I've really been turned on to the sort of the Alpine. Like there's lots of it. So I couldn't name you a road and say that's my favorite road. I can name you some highlights, but just the 2 bits of terrain that I've done a bunch of in the last 2 is just like, the way in Germany and parts of Austria and Switzerland, it's just like big flat areas where you're going and there's no land wasted around there. It's just road and then field.
Yeah.
Right, and you're going along this road and you're going through these little towns, and you could do that for hours, and that to me is fucking class. Just the people watching aspect of it and the seeing just how things are set up over there.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is, fuck it, I'm sure I'll get lynched in comments or something for not being able to remember the name of the place. I think it's in Switzerland or Austria or Germany. You know that place where in the James Bond film, and I even forget which James Bond film it is, he was in the car and there was a chap sniping at him. Anyway, the place for the James Bond film.
The car.
No, I don't know that he flips the car, but there's a lad shooting at him. He's meeting somebody, and it's a sort of a tundra area, and there's lots of switchbacks, and there's a name on it, and I completely forget the name. I'm sure the comments will tell me why. We went past there. That was a definite highlight. Just the actual where you're looking either side, and it's almost like a volcanic wasteland. And big civic things like dams and etc. We did Stelvio Pass on our first trip. Stelvio Pass for the scenery is fantastic. The road is shite.
I've heard that.
The road is in absolute tatters. Like I would not be going fast down that at all. But in terms of the scenery that you're looking out as you're going down the switchbacks, you'll shit your pants. It's actually class. what other bits?
Have you done the Grossglockner in Austria, have you?
I have done the Grossglockner, which we did that on the most recent trip. Any of the big, scary mountain... I haven't put up the Grossglockner, but
I was wondering.
Any of the big, scary passes are definite highlights. So one of the highlights of the previous trip... Now, I don't like the videos I made of the previous trip. I still have the footage, and I may end up remaking those videos. I did... what's the fucking name of it? I'm gonna have to look it up. It's the mountain pass between northern Italy and Austria. Timmelsjoch, it's called, and it's they used to run the Giro d'Italia over it, but too many cyclists were falling off and getting killed.
All right. So that's a good reason to stop it.
That'll give you an idea. So you go up this big switchback, and it's lovely and sunny, and you go into a tunnel. And this tunnel was built in like the 30s or 20s or 30s, so it's just basically blasted tunnel. And you go through, and on the other side it's -3. You're about 2,500 meters up, and you keep going up, and you get to the top, and there's snow.
Right.
And it's ropey as shit, and like it's there's wind up there as well, so like your wee turns into an icicle and goes back up inside you. It's not great crack. And you get to the top, and there's just a big fuck off visitor center with a coffee shop, and you're like, yeah. So
hide in there for a few hours.
A lot of the big mountain passes you end up paying, but it's actually worth it.
Yeah.
The Timmelsjoch was, I think, about 15 quid a head to get over it.
That's not too bad.
Grossglockner, I think I prefer Grossglockner because it's just the scenery going up is unreal, and when you get to the top of it, and I'll send you a picture afterwards. I have a picture of the two bikes where we sort of said, oh, we're probably close to the top, and we pulled up to a sort of a lay-by where there were a load of people. And I have a picture of the back of the two bikes looking out, and we're above the clouds. Like you can see the clouds down in the valley. That's pretty damn cool. And then we got on the bikes, and there was still a half an hour left in the front pass. Like we weren't even nearly at the top.
That's class.
And you get to the top, and it's definitely an attraction. Like they give you the sticker, and they give you the whole job as you're going through. And so I have my sticker now. But the first trip we did was very much like we didn't do enough planning beforehand. We were going to do the main passes in Switzerland.
Right.
So they've all names on them, like blah pass and other pass and whatever it is. And we hadn't really done a route map. On our first day, we stopped at some roadside cafe, and the placemat was this big paper placemat, which was a map of all of the major mountain passes in Switzerland. And so we went off that fucking placemat for the next 3 or 4 days, just getting all the passes in.
Class.
Favorite bits were definitely just the general alpine bits and the big passes. So like Timmelsjoch, Grossglockner. If you can do Grossglockner in your lifetime, get up there.
Oh, 100%. It's on the cards.
And anything there. Low lights would be southern Italy. Wasn't a fan. It's big, it's flat, it's hot.
Yeah.
We said we'd go down and get the ferry from Bari. And
yeah, remember that bit.
Honestly, I would have gone to Ancona if I'd known. It was just not great, and it was like 34 degrees for most of the way down.
That's a lot.
And I had my nipple vents, but even still, it was not
they don't
great.
help that much.
They don't. They're refreshing, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite bits. I've gone on trips with lads not on the bike for other sports and other hobbies and other bits like that. I think the optimal number of people for a bike trip is like no more than 4. Like I think a small group is the best, because even with a group of 4, you're going to end up with people with differing attitudes, different things they want to do. Some people want to go fast. Some people want to go not so fast. Some people want to take rest days every second day. Some people don't. And unless you're absolutely synced up, if it's other lads that you know really, really well, there's going to be fucking rows.
True.
Even myself and Graham, was just the 2 of us going on that trip, or on those 2 trips, and like we've known each other years, and even then it might have gone it didn't get, we'd no rows, but like, you know, the way when some lad is kind of saying, you know, like, oh, we'll go there if you want now. We'll go there.
Yeah,
I don't want to I don't want to make a big deal of it now, but if you'd go to blah, but I'm clearly disappointed. But
I'm actually really angry, but it's fine.
Yeah, no,
Sorry
it's
about
grand.
it.
But you have to make allowances for example, like we had the first trip, we had a rest day somewhere in northern Italy, where I'm, after 4 or 5 days on a bike, I am bollocksed. Like, I want to be off the bike for a day. I want to be fucking.
I think that's fair though, especially as a bigger lad. I get it.
Like, plan for rest days every 3 or 4 days. Like, this whole notion that you can be on a bike 6 or 8 hours a day for 2 solid weeks, no, that's madness. Like, you go bananas.
That's what people have accidents.
You see nothing.
To be quite honest.
Nothing. Yeah, you'll have accidents, exactly. And so there was one time where, like, I wanted a rest day, Graham didn't, and I was like, cool, we'll fucking book a place for 2 nights, and you can go off for a fucking spin on the rest. I'll take a rest day, you can go off on a spin, and we both get what we want. You extrapolate that out to 5 or 6 or 7 lads, you know, where one lad is going to be thinking we're going too fast, and one lad is going to be thinking we're never going to get there. And it's just going to be hassle before long, right? So I'd say on a trip like that, like 2 weeks with a sort of a loop in mind, more than, I would say, 5 lads, and I'd be actually ropey about whether the group would stay together, like, whether to do that. Now, most people get away with it because they're on an organized trip. So if you're on an organized trip where you pay some lad $2,000 and he says, here's your GS, and and stay with the group, like, that actually disabuses you of the responsibility to stay together and to keep it together as a trip, right?
Yeah.
But if you're self-organizing, like, it's just, it turns into hassle and drama after, you know.
So you'd really want to know the people well. Like, in fairness, I don't know, have you seen me, Kev, who'd be on a lot of my videos? Like, we have very similar riding styles, and he's also very easygoing. And if you're listening to this one, Kev, you're fair play, because like I'm not fast at getting set up all the cameras and stuff. Like, I'll faff and I'll drop stuff and I'll forget to put in a battery and I'll be messing. And in fairness, there's only one time, I think, ever when I messed up so many times that I was trying to do and I got so flustered. And my version of getting flustered is, oh shit, I have to do that again. So people would nearly be like, would you get angry? But Kev just went, we've been here a while. that was the total of it. So I definitely go on a trip with him. Other people remain to be tested. But that makes sense.
You have to know lads well enough that you're not going to get pissed off with them because you don't know them. Like, you know, you have to know their sort of quirks a little bit. Like, we went on a trip, and sometimes it just clicks. Like, we went on a trip where we went on the start of a trip, myself and Graham and one other lad. We went to do the Wild Atlantic Way, and like, we were getting on ground with the lad. Now, we had to cut the trip short, but it can work out for short enough trips. But it really does. You need to kind of know the lads. It needs to be not sight unseen. Yeah, and you need to be able to sort of say what you think to people without being like, I don't know this chap and I'm trying to make a good impression and I'm trying not to piss anybody off. Like, you have to be prepared to speak your brains.
I do that anyway by accident. A lot of my friends think I have like Tourette's or something. I just say it and they're like, oh Jesus, Mike's done it again.
No, that's it. And it's you do need to know people pretty well. And after I would say 5, it's drama. The drama turns on.
But it's like you said, it's if you do a big mad cross diagram, and the more arrows you make, it's going to get complicated pretty damn quickly. So that makes perfect sense. Like,
and the thing as well is that the trip that we did, we had it planned out. I think in the videos I've done so far, I actually posted a screenshot of like the planning spreadsheet.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
we didn't do fucking half of that. Right, like we went and we got 2 or 3 days in and we said we were mad ambitious about the amount of ground we're going to cover every day. Okay, so let's take some shortcuts and do the thing and all that sort of stuff. I could absolutely, if you had a group of 8 lads, there's going to be one lad who's like, no, fucking, you got the fucking plan, stick to the fucking plan, no deviations, no
do everything.
Today we're going to go there and we're going to get an ice cream and it's going to be vanilla, you know, and like, you know, it's being able to just throw away the plan is essential, you know.
Yeah, but I like, it's funny because I tell people that the whole, if I'm going somewhere in a car, I actually am that person who's like, no, this is the plan. It's a car. We're going A to B, and that's it. But like, I'm a completely different person out on a bike. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you want to stop here for an hour?
Yeah.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
The thing as well, I think it works out really well in that, like, myself and Graham kind of complement each other really well in that sense. Also, he's a ride, and I love him. He'd be very spontaneous. He'd be like, "Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing it. We're going. That's it." Whereas, like, I couldn't do those trips on my own.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that now. I'd be going out, and I'd sort of like, I don't want to go too far, and then I'll go do this and everything. Like, and he'd push me, and I'd push him a bit to do different things. Like,
yeah.
And the funny story was the first trip we did. We went. It was 2017, and we did it in October, which was pretty late in the year. We planned that trip in July. Like, that trip wasn't happening in June. And I think I was looking at Overland. I think I went to an Overlanders Open Day where it was just like looking at bikes, and because they're only down in Gorey, and it's a nice spin down to Gorey. And I went back and I said, he said, where are you today? I says, oh yeah, Gorey, whatever. This is Overlanders. And he says, oh, they do bike shipping and everything like that. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that'd be cool. We fucking do that now one of these years. And he says, cool, yeah, I'm on the phone to them. And I was like, what? He says, how's September? And I'm like, what? No, what? And he was like, no, it's actually the first 2 weeks of October. Yeah, let's do first 2 weeks of October. And he's like, well, I book it. And I'm like, and I was thinking about it, and again, going back to my old adage of like thinking of doing something, then decided not to, right?
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, you know what? There's literally no fucking reason why I can't do it, right? And that's the riding buddy. Like, that's the fucking lad who's just kind of going,
get you to do it.
Yeah, no, we're fucking doing it, and it's booked, and the Ryanair flights are booked. What's your date of birth? What's your passport number? It's booked. And I was just like, and I went downstairs and I said to the missus, I was like, I'm going on my holidays in October. So, no, that's it. You need somebody to push you,
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Actually, and I'm glad you mentioned Overlanders. They're who I wanted to mention, the people who I feel have wronged me, even though they haven't.
What did they do to you?
Like, they're not far. My home place is my parents' home place is in Kilkenny, and right. I really like all the bikes they have. Like, they have the Moto Guzzi V85 TT and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I called down to them last year. I suppose it wasn't that long after I started the channel. I probably only had like 200, 300 subs at the time. And I went in, I was like, look, no, I don't know that I come across in any of the videos I speak in public. I hate approaching people in public. I'm terrible at it.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. This is fine. I can chat away to the person one-to-one, but if it's in public, I'm like, so, how are you? My name is Michael.
Can we speak in private in little box, please? I don't want anyone listening to me. Yeah, I know. I don't want
anyone hear me, and I'm just going to cover my eyes so I can't see it.
Yeah. But I know I'm in a motorbike shop, but I'm kind of ashamed to be talking about motorbikes to you.
Which makes no sense. Yeah. But I walked up and I was like, so look, I kind of started this YouTube channel, and he was like, all right, yeah, grand. Anyway, and chatted away to him fine. I was like, look, if you have ever any interest in doing like test ride videos, I'm just looking I'll pay you. I was like, because you can't really rent bikes. But I was like, look, I completely understand if you say no, just let me know if it's a no, so I can tick you off that list and it's fine. And he was like, absolutely, talk to the boys and I'll tell you no. And I was like, you can contact me, and like anyone now can confirm, I respond bloody quickly on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I've all the notifications on loud on this thing. And they never said no.
Yeah.
They also never said yes. So I'd say I went out to the shop and that fella went like, fucking idiot.
Yeah, honestly, the lads in there they're quite, what's the right word? They're quite utilitarian. They're very old heads. Like,
even the younger lads.
You'd be talking to them and you'd be sort of saying, oh, what's the story? What you up to? And he's like, oh, I was in Russia last week on a bike, pissing around. Like, just very matter of fact. Like, and then I was driving a truck to Germany, and sure, I'm back here now.
Yeah.
So I think going into them and saying, I have a YouTube channel, I want to test ride bikes, it doesn't even register with them. They're just kind of going like, well, then test ride the fucking bikes, man. Like, don't make a big deal out of it. Just show up and say. I've never told anybody I have a YouTube channel. Like, actually, I tell a lie. The head mechanic in BMW recognized me.
Oh, really?
Well,
That's
he
pretty cool.
recognized me. He recognized my bike. But
That's
he
class.
was like, "That's that grey fucking RS that I see on them fucking YouTube videos." But he, I've never told anybody. So what I would, the approach that I would take there, I'd just go and test ride bikes and say nothing, like, you know.
You see, I would do that, but I feel like if I went in and absolutely slated a bike,
Well, they
without,
don't make them.
yeah, true, I suppose, yeah,
They
true, yeah, yeah.
they don't make the bikes there. Like, I mean, it's I know that, and I think that that's a much bigger deal in the UK. And I know that there's some UK lads that do sponsorships and that are
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
I know that Baron von Grumble used to do a thing with Barnstorm or whatever they're called. There's a big
Yeah.
BMW dealership, and it seems like there was a period of 3 or 4 years ago where it looks like every fucking motovlogger within 100 miles of there was doing test rides on all of their bikes, right?
Mm.
And that was the thing. But I think that's rare. Like, I think that's, for the most part, people just go in and test ride bikes and say, "This is what I think of the bike." Like, I wouldn't be. Again, it's down to the Irish thing. Like, it's not an impressive thing to say via YouTube channel.
Oh
like,
no,
I mean,
and
it's free. It's free to
and I didn't mean it like that. It was more kind
I
of
know
like,
what you
look,
mean. Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
videoing it, kind of heads up.
Oh yeah, they don't give bollocks. I'd say that was his. It wasn't so much that, like, there's, and again, it's the Irish thing of, like, they're not going to go out of their way to say, please come in and test ride our bikes and make videos.
Oh
either.
yeah, absolutely
Like,
not. Wouldn't expect it.
So they're just like, if you want to ride a bike, just ride the fucking bike. Like,
Yeah,
it's
we'd try that,
it's why the likes of Keith to be like, you know, he knows I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a bollocks. Like, he's just like, yeah, whatever, do whatever you like. I mean, just go out on the bike. If you buy it, great, and if you don't, then just don't wreck it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd say the Overlanders lads be the same. Like, they have a lot of nice bikes.
Do they do test rides down there?
I don't even know. I've never done a test ride with them, but I assume they would. You know,
I'd try that. I might ring them and like, I'm a prospective buyer. Can I try the bike?
No, just well, here's the thing, and there's and again, it's an Irish thing, both in producer and consumers. There's this assumption that you're somehow putting people out,
yeah,
by going in and test riding a bike and then not buying it. Right, and I get that as well. Like, I'll test ride a bike, and you know, if you come back and you just hand back the keys and you say, "Not for me," or just say nothing, like, so I can, like, that's why the bike's there, to be test ridden. Like, why are you getting annoyed at me for not buying it? Like, are you new with this? Are you new with this bike selling thing? Do you think everyone who test rides a bike buys the fucking thing? But mega bikes are okay for test rides as well, I'm told. I've gone on some of their
who are
mega bikes in Dublin.
Oh, right, okay.
They do open days. They'll
I've seen
do
that,
test ride days, and I've gone on 1 or 2 of them, and you get some fucking dopes up on the bikes. And it's fair enough. I think the dealer supports them, which is unusual for an Irish dealer. In that, like, when I was out, I was out on one of the mega bikes open days, and I had one instance of a lad being put off a bike. Basically, like, he was up on the Yamaha Tracer and he couldn't handle it. Like, he was just all over the shop and couldn't really get it going at lights and everything like that. And they just said, "Here you are. Get on the back of this bike and I'll bring you back to the fucking shop." Like,
why would you even put yourself in that position?
Oh, if you think you're class, you know,
that's madness.
Yeah, but yeah, no, you get some dopes showing up to open days, but I mean, it's how you get the bike sold. You know, it clearly seems to work.
I suppose, yeah.
And increasingly, I remember 5 years ago, there was nobody up on bikes. Like, we were like post-recession, and I remember talking to the chap I bought my first couple of bikes off, the DeVille and the Diversion. And he said he used to send a van over to Germany and bring back 6 bikes a week back in 2006, 2007, and he'd have them sold, and he'd send the van back over the following week. And he said that's all gone. Right, you know, that was gone as of 2014, 2015. I think it's kind of recovered now. I think there's a lot more lads going out on bikes, but like, it's a big outlay. It's a lot of money. Right.
Yeah, especially when you're not using it like us commuting and stuff. You know?
And the barrier to entry is very high, you know. And
it is. Yeah.
I was looking at the subreddit. There's a Moto Ireland subreddit where there was a lad saying, "Oh, I want to save money by getting a bike," and a couple of the replies were like, "You won't."
Yeah.
like the insurance is going to be out, you know,
out the door,
and you're 700 or 800 quid in the hole before you even get up on a bike. Like,
I think once you go past maybe 23, 24, and you use it as an alternative to an older car like I do, does save you a lot of money then. Like my car uses twice the amount of fuel my bike does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's definitely saves you money that way. But yeah, definitely starting off, I think in it, well, especially at the moment in this country, you're getting you know, the not friendly end of a gun barrel either way with insurance. Unfortunately. But yeah, I think long run, even if you weigh up the tax and all that crack, like you have to spend money on gear, you have to spend money on the IBT, and you don't save much.
You want to have like €1,000 to throw at getting started.
Yeah, easily, yeah, 100%. To finish off the tour aspect, hotels or camping.
So we did hotels. It depends on where you're going. So there's some regions of the world that are very camping friendly. I think France is. The UK is to an extent.
Campsites and stuff like that.
Just that there are campsites that of sufficient frequency that you're going to be able to do that. There's no wild camping in Germany or any of those places like that. There's nothing like illegal. It, you know. There is here, like in Ireland, you can definitely wild camp. There's some parts of Scandinavia. If you're in Sweden or Finland, there's the rite of passage. There's actually a law that like you can camp anywhere. Doesn't matter if you own the land or not. And
that's pretty cool.
Once you're not disturbing anybody or making a mess, you can do that, and you have a right to do it. So if I was going to like one of the options for our next tour was, do we go to Norway?
That'd be cool.
And I don't know if it's in Norway as well, but if it was like that, we'd probably consider camping. I like camping. I haven't done it in a couple of years. I used to do it for sports and for other stuff. It's a lot of extra gear. Like the investment.
It is a lot of extra gear.
I'd say what I do is, if I was bringing all of the camping gear, I'd try to mostly camp.
Yes.
Right? I do a hotel I do a hotel every 3 or 4 days, or maybe just for the rest days. And it depends as well on like how you're getting your clothes cleaned, how you're getting other logistics like that done. We did hotels. The thing as well with hotels is that if you're off season, they're so cheap. So
that's true.
Plentiful, and even especially out in the continent in Switzerland and Germany and Italy, if you go on hotels.com or Trivago or one of those places, everyone is set up on it. Like you'd imagine, like we went into a tiny little place in Italy that we'd booked on hotels.com, and we were pulling into the place, and I was like, oh bollocks, here's an elf with a book. Like, you know, he doesn't have our booking from hotels.com that we made 2 hours ago. And I showed up and I walked in, and he had the printout, and he was fucking perfect. He was like, yep, you're the 2 lads, you know, and it was great. So that there's no issue at all with it. But yeah, I would definitely, like, if you're going out on a tour, and certainly the way we did it for the 2 weeks is I had 3 or 4 changes of clothes. And I was trying to get them dried. I was trying to get them washed and dried, and having a sink you can wash your clothes in, and being able to put them out somewhere to dry is actually a good deal. Like I didn't use any laundry services or anything from the hotels. I just kind of bring a little bottle of dish soap and hang them out on a balcony or something like that. So
have you ever seen how much those services are?
Oh, they're bananas.
Mental.
Yeah, I've used them while on expenses once or twice, and I was like, yeah, it's a good thing I'm not paying for this.
It's insane.
Like wash and dry a pair of socks, $5. But no, little bottle of dish soap, and then just stick them out. And when we were down in Italy, certainly you just throw stuff out and it's dry in a fucking hour.
And
and you buy proper technical t-shirts that are not cotton. They're just like, you can just wring them dry, and they're basically all the way dry.
Done straight away. That's actually a big thing that a lot of people don't realize. I'm always saying it to people: if you're going on a trip, don't bring jeans. You know, buy your proper quick dry pants, and they're light and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd the rip-offs, the little tiny, the shorts that zip off and all that sort of thing. Like, just packed real light. Job. And they're the ones that I actually wore on the plane. So like, I'd one set of clothes. So it was that's the way it was. But I'm too old and fucking fat and lazy to go mad on camping. If it was a short trip, yeah, I'd give it a go with camping. I don't know if I'd be into camping for a week on end.
Yeah,
I enjoy doing
to be
it.
honest,
It's
I'd be
good.
the same.
Novelty's good. Novelty's good, but like if you can go to a hotel and it costs 40 quid, fucking
Can't really go wrong.
no contest. Like,
Yeah,
because you're on your holidays. Like, what are you trying to prove?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so-
that's true. I think a big thing for me is the amount of gear you carry. Like,
Mm.
genuinely, like, especially on my bikes, because none of them are set up to carry gear, obviously. And when myself and Kev went camping in Ventry Bay last year with the Phaser, I mean, the Phaser was laden down. I didn't even have the top box at the time, so I had space for nothing. And I was literally just packed up like a donkey, and it just kind of takes from the spin a bit. And when we looked at it later, because it was October and we camped in October, by the way. Like, now it was a stroll from a pub, so it was a good camping session.
Yeah,
but
keep you warm, no hassle.
Yeah, but like we looked at it later, there was an Airbnb. We could have rented a full house Airbnb for 80 quid.
That's it. It's getting that cheap that it's like, if you were camping, and again, this is possibly going back to the, like, if you take more than 5 lads with you, chances are a couple of them are going to want to camp and some of them aren't going to want to camp, and there's drama then, right? But no, at this point, like, camping is for the novelty of it. It's for the, like,
it is for the laugh.
Yeah, it's for the laugh. Like, if you were doing like a round the world trip as well, I mean, you're going to be camping for some, but you want to have your gear with you. Like, some days you're not going to be able to find a place. But if you're anywhere in continental Europe, you are no danger of not being able to find somewhere to stay, unless you show up in the middle of July or something. Like,
in which case you're screwed.
Yeah.
So to jump on to motorcycling year round, I don't know, did you see the video I did? I don't actually know when I did it. It was probably yesterday. I was talking about getting rid of my car. Now, was getting rid of my car probably in favor of a van, so I could go up and down to Mondello or something with the Gixxer when that happens. But what is your thoughts on motorcycling year round? Because I do it. I think there was only about 1 week in the last 12 months I had to be off the bike when we just had really bad ice, and I couldn't even get my car down the hill out here, so it just wasn't in work. What do you think of motorcycling year round? Is it a realistic endeavor for most people here?
Yeah, I think so. I think in Ireland we actually, I know Irish people love to fucking give out about Ireland, but one of the great things about the climate here is that it never tries to kill you in any serious way.
Never too hot, never too cold.
And so you get to, like, and the seasons are kind of weird because it only really gets cold and windy and shite around January or February.
Right?
So you're riding your bike as normal until after Christmas, right? And then it gets kind of muggy and shite for, I want to say, 3 or 4 months. Like, we're coming out of it now because it's the start of June. And then you're back in business, like, and it's exactly as you say. Any weather that I've experienced, and so I ride my bike year round, and when I don't ride it, it's not because I don't feel safe or I just don't feel like it. I have a bus I can take to work, and I just take the bus. But that's the great thing about Ireland, is that as you say, any weather in the last, I want to say, 5 years that has meant that I can't go out on the bike has also meant I can't go out in the car.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
That's the thing. There's black ice out there, but I don't take out the bike. Well, I'm certainly not fucking going out in the car either. Like,
just slide through a ditch with it. Like.
That's it. And so it's all it really necessitates is that you just keep the bike clean, and it's additional maintenance, keeping it so that the road salt doesn't eat the fucking bike. And
I just dose it in GT85 all the time.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, I do understand to an extent lads who, like, put their bike away in the winter and then take it out in Easter Sunday like clockwork, right?
Yeah.
And because you're a fair weather biker. You're using the bike for pleasure and enjoyment purposes, and that's fair enough. You do you, right? But if I have that amount of investment in a vehicle, in a bike, and I enjoy doing it, like, why wouldn't I keep doing it? Just because it's cold. Like, cold you can deal with, rain you can deal with. Like, it mightn't be nice, but it'll be grand. Like,
but even like we rarely actually have days, and this is genuine. Like, even when I've been out in the middle of winter, and I did the the gap I done low in the middle of winter last year. Like it's rarely that we get a day of solid rain. It does happen, as we know, but it's usually, you know, showers, whether they be strong or not. So like you kind of you get through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's dealt with. Like similarly, I think there's only a couple of weeks a year where it's like it's fucking miserable every day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we get showers. Showers will fucking happen. If you're not prepared for an old rain shower going out on a bike in Ireland, then like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong.
I say it all the time.
I honestly think
it's going to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of lads that put their bikes away for the winter, I don't even think they think about whether it's necessary or not. They just see lads in Germany doing it and see lads in and it's part of the advice, right? I mean, I had the wonderful opportunity of being on hold to Carol Nash a couple of weeks ago. And they have this thing about when you put your bike away for the winter, and I'm like, who the fuck does that?
Yeah,
you know, like why do you need to do it? You need to do it in Germany because you're fucking snowed in for 2 months of the year, right?
And it's snow,
and it's
been over there.
Snow. It's like you're wasting your time going out on a bike. Like, whereas here, like you get a week or two of that maybe, and not always, right? And so that's
very rarely, really.
Yeah. And so I don't judge people to like if you don't want to go out on a bike in the winter and the pissy rain, it's your bike. Do what you like with it, like you know. But I think you're missing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that said, like there are days where I look out and I say I don't fucking feel like it. When I had the big long commute and I had a car that I could use, there was the odd day where I'd just be like, I'm just not fucking feeling up to it today. Like,
but sure, that's it.
Like, I know I'm gonna get pissed on for an hour. Or I could sit in the car and not get pissed on for an hour. I'm going to do that. So, like, I'm by no means a fucking purist in terms of, like, I'm going to go out there. Maybe I enjoy the misery.
Yeah.
But
I enjoy it.
But it'll be the default for pretty much all of the time. Now, I'm fucking spoiled now because my commute went from, when I moved 2 years ago, my commute went from an hour on, like, country roads and motorway and city driving to, like, 20 minutes maybe.
Yeah. Mine is currently 20 minutes. It's brilliant.
Yeah, on streets. And I don't think it's long enough. I'd love a longer commute. You know,
I've been making mine longer the last few months because it's lockdown.
I can make it longer. Yeah, now I can. But yeah, it definitely gets to the point where, like, you know, I sold the DS and I didn't think I had enough miles on it. I looked at the number of miles on it and I was like, yeah, I could have done more than that.
Yeah.
You know, like 20 kilometers a day for a few months. Like, it's not, it does, or no, my commute is like 7 or 8 now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not long enough. You know? It's not long enough.
Yeah, you're perfect for an electric bike, though. But the only thing I was going to say as well about the winter riding aspect of it is would you recommend if someone was saying, oh, hey, look, I'm going to do that? I think for me, unless you're an idiot like myself, would you recommend getting a newer bike with ABS and traction control and all that stuff? Because in my opinion, if for instance, if you know, my girlfriend was to say, oh, I actually really like bikes and I want to ride all year round, there's not a hope I'd let her out in the middle of winter without a bike with ABS on it.
Yeah, I think talking about ABS or not ABS is old hat at this point. I think people who don't want ABS on a bike, I'm happy enough to relegate them to fucking crackpot territory at this point. Yeah, exactly right. And but there's the trade-off between, you know, so say for example my miss turned around and said I want to ride a bike, I'd be like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But I'd also be like
class.
I'd also be like, there's a trade-off between like any modern bike, you know, do you want to go out on a big expensive whiz-bang bike on weather where you might be more inclined to drop it, for example? Like,
yeah.
Or do you want to get a winter hack? And that's something that is a concept as well. I know a good few lads that have their nice bike, you know, that they put away for the winter, and then they have a buckety old, you know, yoke that they bring out and they never wash, and they just ride it until it falls to dust, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you can bring out a nice fancy bike all year round, but you need to look after it.
Yeah, you do.
You need to clean it. You need to keep it maintained. You need to make sure it's not going to fucking fail you. But yeah, no, you know me at this point. I'm all about that whiz bang. Like,
yeah.
traction control, ABS, a little fucking all sorts of stabilizers. Fucking bring it on, you know.
Yeah.
Anything that'll keep you safe is mission accomplished. And lights as well.
It's a bone.
Like
The new lights
floodlights,
are
spotlights,
unreal.
the fucking job, like the whole lot. So
it's actually something I want to do on the Phaser. Well, if I ever decide I'm going to definitely keep it for another couple of years, is the engine bars with the spots.
Yeah.
Just the lower down spots, you know.
I don't have them on the KTM and I missed them. I had them on the GS and I had them on the RS, and I'm unapologetic about lights on a bike because especially lights that make it so that there are 2 or 3 headlights.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of lads that look behind them and they'll see a single light coming at them and they'll be like, that's a bike. And then subconsciously they might say, I don't really have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
If you were looking at the front of the RS coming up behind you where there's like 1 big fuck off light and 2 big fucking spots staring at you. And I pulled up beside a fella at lights one time and he says, your light's a terrible bright. I could see you coming a mile away. And I'm like, fucking mission accomplished, man.
Yeah.
I mean, cheers. You know, like good job. So once you're not dazzling people or causing a nuisance, but like more lights, the better. Yeah, it's all good.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and it's something I should do, and it's actually something that, like on the Magna, which has a candle for a light, is I will be doing an LED upgrade or something like that because it's piss poor, and I'd like to add 2 of the Harley-esque lights on the handlebars, but yeah. Anyway, all in time on the channel anyway. But the other thing then, obviously mentioned channel, but the whole YouTube thing, right? I know why you started because you have said it in videos and stuff, just you know, but why? Tell the people of the internet why you started.
I think I told you earlier on.
You did actually. You probably did at the start. Yeah.
No, it was because there was very little information out there, and I kind of wanted it to be an informational thing, and I saw it as being opportune because the rules had just changed, and there was a lot of lads asking questions, and I'd done the research, and I was also out there not seeing a lot of lads getting up on bikes, and I wanted to do a little bit of it. And also just the way I am, when I get into things, I get very into things.
Yeah.
Right. So when I've been into sports previously, like 6 or 7 years ago, I got into cycling quite a bit. Right before I had a motorbike, I got into cycling, and I got into fucking cycling. Like I don't get into cycling in a I got an L bike on the bike to work scheme and start cycling in and out of work or down to the train. I was fucking riding 60-kilometer, 100-kilometer sportives and doing the fucking whole job. Like I go big or go home. Like
yeah.
And so when I started getting into that, I saw what the lads were doing over in the UK, and I saw how little of it was happening in Ireland. There was a couple of there was a chap, his name was Red and White Rebel. He's still around. He hasn't posted in a couple of years, but he was doing it before me. He was just doing photo rally points and talking away and that sort of stuff. But that was all I could find, aside from lads on fucking scramblers going, look at me scrambler, and doing like mess videos. So I sort of said, there's a niche there, and I'd love to. And I also kind of saw it as a way of meeting other bikers as well. That
100%.
Of course, the first thing I did was not fucking meet anybody, like not give out my information and just stay away from folks.
Yeah.
But no, I did end up meeting a good few people based off of it. Like I've been recognized a handful of times just from my fucking voice, actually, and that's why it started out. And as it continued, it became very much a kind of to see if I can do it, like kind of to see if I can produce decent content.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
And to see if it's useful to people, right? Because, I consider somebody on their own learning something and having that knowledge and not passing it on to be a bit of a shame, Like,
I agree.
If I'm sitting away on my own learning things, and if you're, it's fine to learn things, but like if you're not learning or you're not teaching, you're furniture, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to do, and I want to pass on stuff about like what's worked for me, what's worked for you, and start a conversation a little bit. And that part of it's worked out pretty well. Like I generally get people saying like, oh yeah, this is the thing and that's the thing, and so it's worked out reasonably well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny that you said about the teaching people things. Like the one of the videos that I love hearing back when someone says, oh hey, look, I watched your service video, whatever, really helped me. Like the clutch on the Phaser, there's if you Google, and I won't name and shame anyone here, but the man has far more subscribers than me. He had done a clutch change on a Yamaha Phaser FZ6, and he didn't replace the metal plates. He had bought second-hand friction plates. Like
just replace the sandpaper on them. It's grand.
Yeah, and he also snapped one of the bolts.
Yeah,
going into the basket, and then instead of replacing it with a proper like spec'd basket bolt, he just found a random bolt he had lying around the shed and tightening it with that. And I'm sitting here like, oh my
god, that's
God.
Further to my point, like putting out stupid information like that is actually kind of irresponsible. Like
it's
a lot
dangerous.
of people go to YouTube for knowledge, like they go to YouTube to find things out, and I think I sort of semi-mentioned it earlier on. My most successful videos on my channel are all product videos. Like there, I think you said this with T-Pot 1 with Bruce there the other week, is that you could put out a video which is like, oh, you're dropping fucking truth bombs on people and knowledge bombs on people left and right, no hassle at all. If you're not talking about a fucking tank bag, or a kind of bike, or if there's keywords for it, like there's just no way of finding it unless they were going to watch the video anyway.
Yes.
Right. And it's like I was saying, like my most successful videos are all the bike walkarounds by an order of magnitude. Like I might put a video out of a motovlog and get 100 views. And I put out a walk around of an ER6 and a mediocre walk around of an ER6 with a lad saying, there's muck on it. 60 fucking 4,000 views.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of views.
Like one of my most popular videos by views is me nearly fucking frying myself installing an Optimate into the ER6. Like, don't do it that way. And there's like one comment down the bottom saying, "Stop waving that screwdriver around. You're making me fucking nervous." Right? and he's dead right. Like looking at it in retrospect, going, "Yeah, if I touched that off, anyway, okay, we won't move." It really is that, like, if you're going for views or if you're going for optimizing channels or if you're going for like it's a mugs game. Like I'm doing it for me, not because like I get a kick out of doing it from it in its own sense, but because if I feel I'm passing something on to people, then I get a kick out of that. Like if somebody comments and says, "I found this useful," so getting some of my earlier videos from like getting your license in Ireland, I get cool comments on that to this day. Where people are like, "This is fucking double Dutch to me," and I watch this video and I actually get something out of this, and now I think I know what I need to do, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, cool, that's it, worth it for me,
Yeah, 100%, and that's it. Yeah, it's done. Signed, sealed, delivered. Happy out. That's that video paid for, basically, in my head. Yeah, no, I agree completely.
My time has been worth it, and it's no longer worthless.
But like, it's funny as well that you mentioned the whole friends thing. Like, I wouldn't have met Lucky Luke Rides, yourself, Grant, Moto Dragon, Kazawaki, Teapot, etc., without YouTube. So it's funny because I'm not actually, and no one believes me about this till they meet me in person. I am not an outgoing person.
Yeah.
In public. So without YouTube, I would have never met the lads because I wouldn't really go to the group rides. You know what I mean? Because get there and I'm the quiet fella. So
yeah. I went on a couple of group rides that they were organised on boards, but I went on a couple of those early on, and I met some decent skins. Like, and I do that, but like, it's not easy for me to do either, right? Because it's just complete strangers, and it's not even that like, oh no, strangers, I hate them.
Yeah,
it's more
like
specific to bikes. You could go meet people and go on a ride out, and you don't know if they're absolute fucking head cases. Like, because I've gone on some large ride outs like the charity rides and all that sort of stuff, and there's always some absolute fucking space cadets, right, going to those. Like, they don't act the maggot, but you can tell, like, I wouldn't like to go on a ride out with this lad. Right.
There's a fella got arrested in the toy run down here for doing a burnout in the middle of the street in front of the guard.
Exactly, right. It's not even burnouts, it's just like going fast and doing stupid shit. Like, but no, it is. It's a way of sort of finding folks, and I think increasingly that just in modern internet connected world, you don't just get into things and be satisfied in yourself that it's like, okay, this is cool, I like riding my bike. It's all connected. You have to you can use it to sort of meet with like-minded folks, and that's actually possible now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 100%.
Whereas previously you would just have to show up to things, and you might never like
hold up your flag.
Yeah, you might never actually run into somebody that thinks like you at all, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So
well, like in day-to-day life, most people hate me because all I'm like, so, someone will be like, oh, so did you watch that program? I'm like, no, but I looked at more bikes last night.
Yeah.
And they're like,
definitely know incrementally more about bikes today than I did yesterday. Would you like to hear all about them? Because that's what I bring to the table.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Like,
yeah, no, and it's absolutely an outlet. Like, people are showing up and saying like, oh, this is cool. Do you have this? So like, the thing with YouTube to me, and it's why I sort of slacked off after a while, is that it can be very right only. It can be very sort of like, I'm putting out videos and then I'm just like, or I could just not. So there was a period probably before I got to zero of about a year where it's a bit sparse. Right now I was moving and I was doing up a house and I was busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that to me says that like it wasn't me doing it for its own sake. I just wasn't getting a lot out of it, and because it's not very back and forth, right? Unless you put in the effort to get people to respond or to get people to engage. And at that point I looked at that and I sort of said, do I want to go down that route? I really fucking don't. Like, I'm doing this for me, and like, people would come on. I get the odd comment where people are coming on saying this isn't a great quality video. I had a lad the other day sort of saying like, well, if you don't know enough about these kinds of bikes, then you shouldn't be doing a review of this kind of bike. And I literally, like, my stock response to these lads is like, listen, watch the video or don't. It's all the fucking same to me. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll eventually get a house with good internet.
Yeah.
But to finish off the whole YouTube thing, right? Plans for the year, or do you have any plans, or do you just kind of go with the flow?
They kind of went out the window, didn't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for this year. I don't think there were plans this year specifically for a trip. Graham is after buying a house and he's doing it up now as well. He's building fucking onto his Rainbow Shed Mark 1.
Nice.
He doesn't mind me saying that that's what he's doing. But so that's putting the kibosh on a lot of what he would have planned money-wise. So I don't think there's a big trip happening. I would like to do, as things open up, I would like to do some long weekend or possibly a week later on in the year. And I wouldn't mind going out with, a group of other lads as well. So I mean, if you're making plans, by all means, inside of Ireland, like, we'll do something. Like, we did the Wild Atlantic Way there last. Now we pissed up the Wild Atlantic Way in a long weekend. But like, just doing Airbnbs and stuff like that. And so I do want to do that. I want to potentially even, depending on how, it's all dependent on what opens up. I'd love to go to Scotland. I'd love to go to Scotland, get up on the ferry and do the thing. That sort of thing. Just small trips, which are not expensive and not expensive time-wise. But I think that as things open up, I'll just play it by ear and see what the story is. Like, I have a bunch of time off saved up, because it turns out nobody's taking holidays right now.
Same.
So
like
when it gets
6 or 7 weeks,
when it gets to like the likes of September or thereabouts, I want to say, it'll be like, okay, well, let's figure out what we can do and let's go do that. Because I do want to do a trip. It won't be a big old Euro trip. That'll be hopefully next year.
And I'd definitely be on for Scotland. Scotland was firmly on my cards this year anyway, and it just obviously, And
it's just the momentum. It's just like, no, I hope to get to this mode of operation in my lifetime where I say, do you know what, I'm going to fucking Scotland, getting on my bike and going up, but I'm not there yet. I need it to be like an organized thing with a couple of lads going, and so let's fucking do shit.
Have you ever done the likes of pre-sleep and kind of pass and all that?
I've been down there. I rode the bike down to. I had a work thing on down in Kerry, and we did a couple of those things. We did Connor Pass on the Wild Atlantic Way trip, the aborted one. Some really nice stuff down there.
Beautiful area.
And I did the ring while I was down in Kerry. I just did a loop and then went home. But I haven't spent enough time down there. I really haven't. Because
like pre-sleep and the likes of the Healy Pass. The Healy Pass, you have to do it.
No,
You did it.
I have done it. Yeah, I have. I have
love
a couple
it.
of, but we were on our way somewhere, so I was kind of
Yes.
just over it, and it was like, this is cool. Okay, next.
See, the best thing to do with Daily Pass, honestly, is what I like to do is go down there and run up and down it 5 or 6 times because a little coffee shop there and everything. It's class. Yeah, it's class.
Yeah, because it can get very samey up if you're not going far from home. Like, I mean, our default trip that we do is around the Wicklow Gap, right?
Yeah.
Which is a nice ride, but
nice,
like,
yeah.
get very fucking samey after a while. Like, and so yeah, I want to go more places a little further afield, and even if it's just like heading off on Saturday and come back on Sunday, I want to do more of those.
That's
nice and done.
It's funny. That's exactly my plan with Kev was this year. Is like, look, like we were actually saying it. We were like, look, there's nowhere that's actually not reachable in a day. Go up for the day, have your sleep or whatever. Get up, go where you want to go, head back. Job done.
Yeah, but and as well, even if you're going on a longer trip, like we were in a situation with Wild Atlantic Way. I know it's over the other side of the country, but if you get halfway up the Wild Atlantic Way and you're in Clare or Galway or Sligo or somewhere like that, and you get a pain in your bollocks, you just fucking turn around and go home.
Yeah,
you'll be home in 3 hours, like, and it's that's how it is. And so it's a good default, and we, again, in Ireland we do very well because you can get some class roads in, and you can be quite a ways away, and if all else fails, if something goes badly wrong, if you look at the forecast and it's going to absolutely hoover it down for the next 2 or 3 days, just go home.
Yeah. That's it. Like, it's very easy.
Yeah,
not like the poor lads in upper America and Canada with 5 months of winter.
Oh, geez. Even if you're up in the Alps in Austria or in Germany or in Switzerland, like, I mean, you're far away.
Yeah.
You're far. Like, if you got halfway through a trip where you chipped your bike over and and you looked at the forecast and it was going to absolutely fucking book it on you for the next 2 days,
you're kind of stuck.
Bad crack. You just need to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it exactly. So right. Here's one for you now, because you already actually own one dream bike of mine and one bike I'd really like, the SRS. I won't call it a dream bike, but the KTM is a dream bike.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. So what's there for you in the future? Do you have any plans? Future bikes, dream bikes? Are there any, or are you really happy with your shed at the minute?
I'm actually really happy with my shed at the minute. I'm like what I've always kind of thought about. And when I say I'm not happy with my shed because it's too small. If I was able to get a third bike, I'm kind of actually not able to get a third bike right now. I just don't have room for it. So I have my long distance touring bike, which is KTM, and that's also kind of a fast bike, like a good spin around.
Not kind of.
It is a fast bike.
Fast bike.
So that's covered. I have the Zero, which covers like both the commute and also acting a maggot slightly shorter term, and also it's a sort of it's a sportier bike.
You can bring that
in terms of form factor, and it's and that sort of thing. So I'm actually covered in that regard. There's nothing that I'm sort of like rubbing my knees about that is like, oh, I really want. If I was getting a third bike, I know I said I would never want a sports bike, but I would look at a cruiser.
Yes, I love cruisers.
I don't. Well, it's not that I don't love cruisers. It's more like they don't really register with me, but not in the same way as a sports bike, where it's like, oh, I'd never have a cruiser. Like I kind of would. Like if I found one that I wanted. The thing with cruisers for me is that they're like digital cameras. You know the way people buy. And I'll explain myself. You know the way, like, you can't just buy an old digital camera. Right, you have to buy lenses for it, and you have to really get into it. And I know myself too well to know that I couldn't just buy an old Kawasaki Vulcan and be happy enough with it. Like, I'd have to go fucking big or go home and just eat fucking super noodles for another couple of years, right? And like, it'd have to be something special. Like, it'd have to be like, if I was going to get a third bike, and if I was going to get it, I think it would be a cruiser. Right, but that said, I'm not sitting up at night rubbing myself and licking my lips and thinking about cruisers. Like, it's not.
It's just something that could happen. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm actually very happy with the set of bikes I have right now.
That's actually good to hear. In fairness,
so
rare it is the case. To put you on the spot though, what cruiser would it be? Just pick even a brand. Indian or Harley Davidson or Yamaha or Honda or Kawasaki?
I would probably want, if I was going cruiser, I'd go old school. I don't have a particular model in mind. I'd have to do my research. It probably wouldn't be a Harley. It probably wouldn't be a Tassily one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fair.
It wouldn't be a Harley. It most likely wouldn't be an Indian. The thing with Harley and Indian is that it's they sell it as a way of life, and there's very much a thing attached to having a Harley or an Indian. Right now, a Harley and Indian cruiser. I know Indian have branched out into other kinds of bikes.
Really well. Actually,
yeah, really well. Like more so than Harley, which is why Harley are in such trouble, right? But it would probably end up being Japanese. It would probably end up being a Kawasaki or an L Honda or something like that. Something that I'd mess with. You
just got your name put down onto the test ride list for the Magna. You're going to fall in love with that thing.
I told you I'm a tramp. I'll ride anything. No, that's it. But I've never ridden a big cruiser. Biggest cruiser I've ridden is the GZ250. So I'd have a go of anything once.
I think you need to pop back over to Keith, my friend, and have a go.
Not a chance. No, I wouldn't own an Indian. I don't know what it is about them. The Scout Bobber looks nice. I'd love a shot of it falls under the category of I'd love a shot of a Scout Bobber.
You don't want to own one?
I don't want to own one. Fair. I'd love a shot of a big Indian chief or whatever they call it. I don't see myself owning one. It's definitely an archetype of a bike. It's kind of like, you know, the way GSs used to be for old fellas, and they're kind of not anymore.
Yeah.
Imagine if BMW just embraced that and said GSs are for old fellas.
Yeah, only old fellas. Piss off everyone else.
Piss off everyone else. And that's Indian and that's Harley Davidson, right? And so it's not for me. I'd probably end up on a Japanese cruiser.
I can see you on like a VTX 1800.
Yeah. Or something like that.
Just like moves mountains with the size of the pistons, the size of my face.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is if I was going for a cruiser, I'd go for a very cruiser. Go for the big stereotype fucking. That's where I'd go.
Very good. I think you should get a VTX or an XV 19 VTX 1800, XV 1900. Mm-hmm. But before we finish fully, do you have any questions for me?
Put me on the spot now.
No is an answer here. Most people say no, it's grand.
No, it's grand. Why I'll ask you the same question you asked me. Actually, two questions. One, why did you start doing motovlogs? Like, what did paint me a picture of what things looked like online when you made the decision, you know what, I'm going to do this thing, right? And what kind of research that happened? That's my first question for you.
Right.
No, I'm going to scratch my second question maybe because you've probably answered it in videos and stuff like that. But like, what if you could have two bikes? What are your two dream bikes? I think you've been asked what's your one dream bike?
Yes.
But if you could have two that would cover everything, and you can only ever have two, what are those?
All right, I will answer that because that's a tough one because everyone knows two bikes is not enough for me.
Only two.
But to answer the first one, and I kind of touched on this. I didn't really speak about it before with Grant and Moto Dragon, just touched on it. But how long have I wanted to do it? A long time. Honestly, I've watched all of the American names, pick them all. I've either watched a little bit of them or followed them for a long time. The likes of Shade Tree, I've always watched all his videos.
I never watched any of his stuff. What would be your major lads that you sort of said I want to be like that?
I've never actually said I want to be particularly like any one person. Like I really like Shade Tree Surge. He's always had a couple of bikes. I've always been a fan of that, and I just like his personality, which is why I watched him. Then the likes of Chasing Two Wheels, I absolutely love the wrecked bike rebuild stuff. Like
he's improved a lot. I remember watching him 5 or 6 years ago, and there's one kind of motovlog, if you want to call it, or bike channel that I absolutely fucking hate, which is Just the people acting the bollocks, right?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
You know, or
Don't
the
watch it.
or the road rage videos, or
Hate
all
them.
this sort of stuff. Or there used to be a whole set of motovloggers that just invented. They'd have like clickbaity titles on, like, you know, did I crash my bike? And then it's like, no, I didn't. You know, and
Ooh.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I had an idea for a channel, a sort of a sub channel recently, where you take those.
I'm going to piss out of them.
No, yeah, you take the road rage videos, because like if you go watch one of those road rage videos and keep score between what was actually, so it's like bikers versus road rage pricks and cars, right? And you keep score between, like, that was the biker's fault. Okay,
Yeah,
fair, that was the car's
that's
fault.
a good idea.
Biker's fault, car's fault, and you get to like 3-0 cars, you know.
Yeah.
And because it pisses me off so much. Anyway,
I've never even watched them, to be quite honest. But yeah, the chasing two wheels thing, like the wreck by rebuild, I would be completely bullshitting you if I said that I didn't one day like dream in my head of emulating that, because honestly, I'd love to do it. I love building
it's
bikes.
a really good idea, and honestly, he's a good example of somebody who came up as a motovlogger and didn't disappear up his own hole. Like he appeared, I unsubscribed to him. I only recently resubscribed to him because I think he had a series of videos that just got to piss me off a couple of years ago. And I just unsubscribed. I said, fuck it, I don't want him in my subscriptions anymore. And I went and looked again recently, and he's really, really improved.
Fair. Yeah, no, and he has. Even his, like, the effort he puts into his videos is incredible. So hats off to him. But yeah, I suppose Shade Tree himself, all the Irish fellas now, including yourself, you know, I'd try to keep up with all of that. Obviously, editing your own stuff kind of gets in the way, but yeah, definitely. And then obviously a couple of the American fellas. Like I like watching Jake the Garden Snakes build series videos. Do I watch him messing around a lot? Not really. Like, do I like the fella? He seems like a very nice guy, but I love his build videos. I think just even the way he does things, like because he doesn't have the tools like Chase, and he won't buy the tools, he'll just make it work. So I do like that. And actually more recently, which is funny because it's not bike related, but with Dan's build stuff. I really like his build stuff as well. They're cool. But yeah, I suppose to answer the question, that was long winded. I was watching all them.
Sure, listen, you've been listening to me for the last fucking 2 hours.
Normal. I was chatting away too, but yeah, I suppose I was watching them. Always kind of was like, you know what, I'd like to have a crack at that. Just because, you know, when you watch something, you're like, oh, I could do this, and I would have done this way, and then the big thing stopping me was I genuinely could not afford a GoPro, and or any type of camera. Just couldn't afford it. And then it was actually about 2 months before I started. I started actually, you know, I finally got promoted a bit in work and whatever else, you know, I started paying off some of my college loans, and I was like, right, I can finally actually spend money on stupid shit. So I bought the GoPro and bought the mic, and I just kind of went from there. But a big driver behind it as well is I'm really shit at talking to people. And if you look at my early videos to now, I have become far more comfortable talking in front of the camera even, and that has genuinely, which I kind of hoped it would. Wasn't certain would it, but it's definitely helped me speak in public in general. Even like this, you know, I've gotten far more eloquent in how I speak as well. Yeah, so it was a big part of that.
There's a safety to it, right? There's a certain aspect of it where, like, if you place and I'm getting very fucking philosophical here for a second. if you place a construct around your excuse for saying something and your excuse for setting forth your opinion, then you can be an awful lot less anxious about it. And I think you and I are kind of similar in that regard. Like I mouth off at people for a living. So like I haven't gone into detail about what my job is, right? But like I manage people and I talk to people and I talk for a living.
Yes.
Right? Which is a source of great mystery to me, right? Because I'm like yourself. Like I won't go in and talk to somebody if I can possibly avoid it, right?
Yeah,
you know?
Go around it.
But the thing with the channel, and I think you and I are quite similar in this regard, in that like you felt like you had something to bring to the table, right? Which is I can totally respect, and you seem to have ended up using it as a vehicle for like, here's my outlet for saying stuff and putting out my opinion in a fairly safe way, right? And what I discovered over the last couple of years is that like the stuff that I'm saying is not bollocks, right? You don't want to get too up your own arse about it, but like the stuff that I'm saying is not bollocks, and people respect what I have to say, and I respect what they say, and it works out really well. It works out really well. So fair play.
Yeah, sound, and obviously same to yourself. But
yeah, what bikes do you want?
What bikes do I want? Oh, the two.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one definitely, look, like I said in the last video, the one I'd pick at the moment is an FTR 1200. Like yourself, I was always interested in it, and I went and sat on one. I was like, this bloody well fits me. And I love the note. I love the engine note. I love the big V twin. I love the switch gear. I think Indian are doing a great job on finishing their bikes. So there's actually nothing. Obviously, look, I know they've had a couple of issues with recalls and stuff. That happens at new bikes. I'm not one of those people who, lights the pitchforks and stuff and walks towards the manufacturer like burn them down. Like they're fixing it. Do you know what I mean? They're fixing it. Fair enough. And bike number 2, that is a tougher one because the FTR.
I'm looking at the FTR, and it reminds me of the DS just in form factor. Like it's
very similar.
It's like a petrol version of the DS. I love them pipes on it. It's really nice.
Oh, they're class. And if you get the high rise replicas, Akrapovics, oh,
nice,
beautiful. But
so what would that cover you for, and what else would you need aside from
that'd be my daily bike. That'd be my daily and fun bike. Definitely my daily and fun bike. And then for a second bike is tough because I love having.
So we're going to Slovenia, right?
Right.
You're going to ride your bike to Slovenia. What bike do you want?
Yeah,
I know the fucking answer to this. That's
your KTM. Yeah.
That's okay. So that's good. But like, the FTR is your zero, right? Is your
my daily? Yeah.
Yeah, is your daily is the thing. So we've quite similar tastes in that regard. I just happen to catch the electric buzz, so to speak. So yeah, cool.
Right. That's it really. Other than some shout outs, obviously we'll shout out Graham. What's Graham's channel's name again?
Graham is On Two Wheels with Graham Bow.
On Two Wheels with Graham Bow. I should put it in the description for everyone.
Give him a shout. He puts up some road rage videos, but we won't hold that against him. Idiot of the week and so forth.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. That's not too bad. It's not like he's smashing mirrors off and everything else. Anyone else you'd like to shout out?
Not as such. I mean, that's for you to do. But like, just to anyone who's doing ride-outs, or anyone who's looking at organizing spins, or anyone who wants to do that, by all means. It's the one missing link for me, and I think for you as well, is getting these groups together. So, future shout out to whoever decides to organize that stuff.
Yeah, Luke has done one in the past. In fairness to him,
he did the motovlogger ride out, and so shout out to Luke. Shout out to Luke for doing that.
Fair play.
For not using my logo because it was actually shite. That's it's. I was just trying to emulate. I have here. Listen. Here's my
yeah, boy, I love that.
Is that backwards? They were mad expensive actually. I only got but
I think I've this many stickers of mine left. I have to order more. That's it. That's the last of them.
I have we do sticker chat. I recently got a new batch of holographic yokes, and I get them off Sticker Mule, which
I use,
which and they keep sending me special offers. So they actually sent me a special offer for key rings. So I have some key rings coming as well. So
nice.
I don't do the posting thing. I want to push myself to get out and actually meet people in person. And
give them to people.
I just hand them out whenever somebody says you're the here's a sticker. Congratulations, here's a sticker.
You caught me.
No, it'd be good to keep on doing that, and keep on as the summer drags on and we're able to leave our county, that we run into more folks. So shout out to future organizers and past organizers.
Yeah, I'm not saying I will do it, but I might do it. We'll see.
You're not saying you'll try, but you'll try to try.
Yeah, I'll try to try. I'll do my best to try. So shout outs from me. The only person I want to shout out again is Kazawaki, because we bartered over and Shy talked about his calendar, and it actually arrived here yesterday, and I had it ready but I've lost it. So he did send me his calendar. I'll throw pictures of it later. But it's class. So thanks for that, Kaz. And we do have a plan when we're actually released from the confines of our counties to meet up and go for a spin. So looking forward to that. Other than that, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. Pleasure.
As always, just to point it out, give a lot of time your evening or whatever else to have a chat. So I do appreciate it.
Listen, none of us are going anywhere.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. Yeah, but if you'd ever like to come on again for any sort of chat, if you have an idea, just let me know. Or we can do it in your one live stream, whatever else. It's all good. And if you'd like to appear one of these, and you being the ephemeral person watching behind the camera, let me know. I don't just aim for big YouTubers or whatever else. It's anyone. If you want to talk about bikes, let me know. We'll see if we organize something. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to grumpybikewizard for coming on. Link to his channel in the description. Please do go have a look at his videos. If you like him, subscribe or whatever else, or subscribe anyway. And yeah, until next time, adios.